members of his family.
Hi, this is Richard Petty, and we're back. Last time you saw the STP Pontiac on the front row, I was driving in the 1992 Pepsi 400. She's on the front row again, but this time I'm the car owner.
ESPN, the world's leader in motorsports coverage, welcomes you live to Michigan International Speedway and live coverage of the GM Goodwrench 400. It is a very cloudy day here in Michigan. The temperature is only 66 degrees and there's a stiff northwesterly breeze. But the good news is there's only a 30% chance of rain. Hi, everyone. I'm Bob Jenkins. It's been a very emotional weekend here at Michigan International with the injury suffered by Ernie Irvan, and we will update you on his condition in just a few moments. But we must forge ahead. The race must go on, and we must cover the other stories that have developed here this weekend. And certainly one of the most interesting has been John Andretti. In his first ride for King Richard Petty, he's put the STP Pontiac on the outside of the front row. With more on that, here's John Kernan.
You know, Bob, last week at Watkins Glen, John Andretti told me he'd retired from Winston Cup stock car racing. Well, a week later, he comes out of retirement with a bang, edging out Jeff Bodine for the pole by just 9 1/1000ths of his second. John, your first race for the King here in this very famous number 43 car. How do you approach it?
Well, I think you have to just be a little bit conservative and get through the first few laps and then just take it from there. I'm just going to find a pace that I'm happy with and don't have a lot of race time or a lot of time in this race car, so just want to be careful and hopefully get 200 laps in and see what we can get out of it.
Well, Bobby doesn't sound pumped up right now, but he was all day yesterday, also after qualifying on Friday, and his team, led by Robbie Loomis, the crew chief, they are ready to go out and put the STP Pontiac in victory lane today.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a renewed spirit with that team here this weekend. Well, obviously, the quest for the Cup points battle is going to be drastically affected by Ernie Irvan's injuries. He came into this event 27 behind Dale Earnhardt. The real battle is for 3rd, 4th, and 5th, as those three are separated by only 39 points. The second 5, Ricky Rudd, Morgan Shepherd, Jeff Gordon, Michael Waltrip, and Lake Speed. Now, there are other stories, as we indicated, to update you on here today. And, of course, the most important is the condition of Ernie Irvan. And with that, here is Dr. Jerry Punch.
Thank you, Bob. In all due fairness, the real battle is not the quest for the Cup. The real battle takes place about 60 miles from here right now, where Ernie Irvan is at St. Joe's Mercy Medical Center in critical condition. Now, the word is that Ernie has been stable through the night. As stable as you can be when you're in critical condition. We are told the pressures have stabilized. He is able to be ventilated well. The injuries to both lungs, we are told, are responding. They have been able to reinflate the lung areas that were compressed with the injury. The pressures in the head, of course, are stable, we are told. The family, very, very cautiously optimistic. Kim and Jordan, who are at his side at the hospital, we are told, will be watching this morning. As you heard Bob Dickens say, the thoughts and prayers are with you and the Irvan family. They know Ernie Irvan is a fighter. The drivers here know how tough he is. Now their job is going to be very tough as well. How tough is it to get in this race car? How do you deal with the ebb and flow of emotion? No one better to answer that question than our former Winston Cup champions, Ned Jarrett and Benny Parsons.
Jerry, it's going to be very, very tough for these guys to go out and do the job because there isn't a driver, a crewman, a television commentator that isn't thinking about Ernie Irvan and his battle. And, you know, you just got to feel for Robert and Carolyn Yates and Larry McReynolds, that entire crew. What an emotional roller coaster. First, Davey flipped at Pocono. And then a year later, he crashes the helicopter. He dies. Ernie Irvan gets in the car. And now it's a year later, and they're watching Ernie as he fights for his life. Man, I just can't believe what these folks are going through. But, Ned, Bob Jenkins talked about the point standings, and one thing this is going to do, they've only got one guy to catch now.
Yes, Dale Earnhardt, of course, is leading the point standings. Ernie was in second place. But if he has to miss more than 2 races, Rusty Wallace, Mark Martin, and Ken Schrader are all in striking distance. They can move past him, and if Earnhardt should falter a little bit somewhere along the way in a couple of races, they'd all be right up there in the thick of the battle for the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship. Of course, Rusty Wallace won here in June, so he likes this racetrack. Mark Martin won here last year very convincingly, so he likes this racetrack too. But how emotional is this for the drivers to get in their race cars after what they've had to go through for the last 24 hours thinking about their friend laying in the hospital? Well, Jerry Punch had an opportunity to talk to Mark Martin just moments ago before he got into his race car.
Thank you, Ned. You know, Mark Martin dominated at Watkins Glen a week ago, and everyone said that's the big story this week. His season has totally turned around, and Mark, maybe the run would begin as it did a year ago, but now your best friend lies fighting a different battle just a few miles from this racetrack. How do you put all this in perspective as you're about to start today's race?
Well, we all come to win this race, Jerry, and that's what it's all about, and we're ready to go do that with this Valvoline team. It's just, it's a tragedy, and in this business, you don't have very many friends, and, you know, I don't plan on losing this one, and I just want to ask everybody out there to say a prayer for Ernie.
A very tough statement by Mark Martin, who, by the way, has parked his bus beside Ernie's for many, many months now. They are the best of friends. And certainly Mark shares our hopes that Ernie will completely recover from the injury suffered in the accident yesterday here at Michigan. The cars are getting ready to go, and we'll be back with the start of our race in a moment. There's the overhead view of Michigan International Speedway as we get set to go 400 miles here this afternoon in the GM Goodwrench Dealer's 400. It's a 2-mile oval. The pole speed, a new track record, 181.082. The race record, 157.704. They should pit somewhere between 45 and 50 laps of all states green, and the purse is very close to $1 million. Michigan International is a tri-oval. The front stretch is 3,600 feet. The back stretch 2,242. The banking in the corners 18 degrees. The front stretch banked at 12 degrees. And the back straight is relatively flat at only 5 degrees of banking. Let's look at the starting lineup for today's race. On the pole with, as we said, a new track record, his third pole of the year, is Jeff Bodine from Chemung, New York in the Exide Batteries Ford. Outside, John Andretti in the STP Pontiac, car number 43. Jeff Gordon will start in third position for his third consecutive race in the DuPont Chevrolet number 24, and alongside him will be the most winning active driver here at Michigan, Bill Elliott, in the Budweiser Ford number 11. Bobby Labonte starts in fifth position in the Maxwell House Coffee Pontiac car number 22, and Joe Nemechek will start alongside in the Meineke Chevrolet car number 41. Going to the next row, we have Rick Mast in car number 1 and Michael Waltrip in number 30. The sixth row consists of Dale Earnhardt in the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet and Sterling Marlin in car number 4. Mark Martin, who won this race last year, starts in the 13th position, car number 6. Alongside will be Loy Allen Jr. in car number 19. Ricky Rudd starts in 15th position. Alongside will be Greg Sachs. Terry Labonte has the inside of row number 9, and alongside him, starting in 18th position, will be Harry Gant, who is making his final appearance here at Michigan. His last win was in 1992 on August the 16th. In the 10th row, we have Steve Grissom, the second fastest qualifier on the second day at a 179.847 mile-an-hour lap. Steve Grissom will be flanked by Ken Schrader on the outside of row number 10. Going to row number 11, it's Rich Bickle in car 45 and Brett Bodine in 26. The 12th row consists here this afternoon of Derek Cope in car number 12, a new sponsor on that car, and Jeff Purvis in the 02. The 13th row, Billy Standridge, car number 47, and Ward Burton in 31. The 14th row, Jeff Burton and Mike Wallace. Row number 15, it's Darrell Waltrip and Lake Speed. Starting in 31st position, Bobby Hill in car 44 and Dale Jarrett in number 18. The 17th row, Dick Trickle and Bill Parsons in the number 9 Melling car. In the 18th row will be Morgan Shepherd and Rick Corelli in his second start of 1994. In the 19th row will be Ted Musgrave and Dave Marcus. Back in row number 20, it's Kyle Petty and Jeremy Mayfield. And in the 21st position, also a provisional starter for today's race, is Jimmy Spencer.
We had 50 cars come to try to qualify for this race, Bob. Obviously 9 cars had to go home. There they are: Bobby Hamilton, Robert Presley, that's in the Mannheim car, Hut Strickland, Jimmy Hensley, Ray and Diane DeWitt's car, Brad Teague, Laura Lane, Bob Brebeck, and Andy Bellman. Bob Brebeck crashed in his qualifying attempt yesterday. He was okay.
We take take a look at our in-car cameras today. One of them will be riding with Mike Wallace in the High Lake Myers car.
This is Jeremy Mayfield, the Fingerhut car, and riding along with him.
Morgan Shepherd will carry one of our roof cams. Is that moisture I see falling on that camera lens?
That is raindrops back there.
Oh, boy. We were plagued, of course, yesterday with rain and hoped we would get away with no rain today. And there is Bill Elliott, who has 7 victories at this racetrack as he carries one of our in-car cameras and another roof cam on top of the Valvoline Ford driven by Mark Martin. The pace car has pulled off the racetrack, and we're set to go 400 miles here at Michigan International Speedway. We're glad you could join us. There's the green, and we're underway.
Oh, we've got a spin up in the second corner. Heavy contact.
Car on its side, sliding down the banking. There's going to be 6 or 7 cars involved in this incident. We see flame coming from one of the cars. So a major incident here in turn number 2 on the very first lap of competition. There is Dick Trickle's car, who is showing some damage on the right front corner. He's trying to make it, however, back to the pit area. It is still moving. There are other cars, however, at the bottom of the racetrack over by turn 2 that have not yet restarted. Let's take a look at it once again as they came down for the green flag to begin our race here this afternoon.
Of course, they were all running side by side as they got the green flag, and even as they went into turn 1. You see a couple of them get 3 abreast as they go into the turn back in the pack, Bob. And there's Morgan Shepherd dipping way down to the inside on the left side of your screen. Let's see if anything happens there.
There's Billy Standridge in the 47 car. He gets tagged just a little bit by Derek Cope, and both those cars spin. Cope goes around, Standridge goes around. Jeff Burton comes along, catches the Standridge car. He goes up the racetrack. Lake Speed barely gets by, and look at that. Is that?
I believe that's Bobby Hillen, isn't it, in car 44? The car got up on its side. It did not go over side for quite a number of feet. And we hope everybody is okay. There is Dick Trickle's car that has come to a rest in the middle of the backstretch, and the safety crew is right there, but you can see that Dick is out of the car and is okay. Dale Jarrett also involved. He has major front end damage.
And they're talking to him. We see the window net down. That's a signal that the driver gives to the rescue workers that the car is okay. Phil Parsons involved in the accident. Harry Millen's car.
And you see Phil is okay too. He's moving around. He has his window net down as well, signifying that he is okay. Go to someone else that might need more help.
And there is the car and driver that we had the greatest concern for, because that car almost turned over, got up on its side, but the window net is down on that car. So apparently Bobby Hillen is okay. Here's another replay. Now watch in the middle of the pack as 2 cars just touch each other and start a chain reaction.
Once again, that was Billy Standridge and Derek Cope. And there we see Hillen go up the car, almost sit down on his rear bumper. And we see several other cars making contact back in the pack.
That car almost went out of the ballpark, didn't it?
Morgan Shepherd was involved.
This is from our robotic camera. There we can see the cars coming along on the wall.
Hillen taking a wild ride up there in turn 2.
There's Morgan Shepherd, I guess.
And that's where he hit Dick Trickle as he slid down the banking of the corner. Look how high that car got. It's a miracle that it didn't go out of the racetrack.
And Jeff Burton comes down and just touches the blue car.
Now, Trickle is okay right here. He's in the middle of the racetrack thinking, I'm going to get by, and then
Bobby Hillen made a run across.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here's John Kernan.
Yep. Morgan Shepherd has just pulled into the garage area. Morgan, a lot of damage to the car. What happened?
Well, a couple cars got together up in front of us and turned sideways, and I couldn't see nothing but smoke, and we just couldn't avoid it.
Cars when you drove it in, you guys are going to try and get it fixed and get it back out there?
I don't know how bad the damage is. I know the front end's knocked all out, and we may try to get back out and collect some points.
Morgan Shepherd obviously very disappointed. He will survey the damage. The right front nose is pushed in, and you can see some of the framework that holds the nose of the car has been bent way down. Also, the radiator has been broken, as you see Glenn and Eddie Wood and the crew trying to get the car fixed and get it back out onto the racetrack, but they've got a lot of work to do. Let's go out to Jerry Punch on pit road.
Well, the Straight Arrow team, Bobby Allison Motorsports, working on Derek Cope's Ford Thunderbird. Not the kind of debut they wanted for a new sponsorship. Left side bumper and fender pushed in against the tire. They were trying to peel some of that away. They're going to have to bring him back in. Apparently, you can see the damage primarily just in front of the left rear tire. The fender pushed in against the tire. They're going to bring him back in and try to jack him, maybe cut some of that metal away with an air chisel. You hear him working in the background. Jimmy Finnick talking to Derek Cope. The driver looks to be okay. Obviously, the car aerodynamically not as sound as it should be. He will come back on pit road next time by. Bob?
So Derek Cope hopefully can continue to run in this race. There's the 47 car of Billy Standridge that is being dragged away by one of the wreckers, and Dale Jarrett's badly damaged car still at the bottom of the racetrack in turn number 2, where a 7-car accident has put a temporary halt to competition here at Michigan International. We'll be right back.
Right there. Now, Cope jumps off the gas to try to avoid the 47, which causes both his car to spin. 47 spins from the contact. And then there's no place for these guys to go. Darrell Walker's got to be in this wreck. Did he miss him, Ned?
I believe he did. He drove right on through there on the inside.
Look at Bobby Hillen's car way up high, sliding down the track.
And then he comes off the wall and gets into Dick Trickle, or Trickle gets into him.
John Kernan is with Phil Parsons.
Bob, as you can see, a lot of damage to the front of Phil Parsons' car. In fact, the oil tank oil cooler has broken and oil all over the side of the car. Phil has gotten out. Phil, obviously you're all right. Could you see what happened in front of you?
No, I really didn't. I looked up and I saw the smoke right away, and my spotter said, trouble in front of you. He said, just about you're on your own, and I was, I saw him down there. I saw him on the low side of the racetrack. I knew they would probably go high. But Morgan and I were, I think, we're pretty much side by side, pretty much committed. I couldn't turn down because of Morgan, and then I think somebody carried Morgan up into me and then carried us up in the wall. I can't believe it. What a start here. I just want to thank my sponsor, Farmer Pete, Harry Milling, for giving me the chance, and Harry Hyde and Peter and all the guys. I tell you, we had a real good car today. Obviously, no one's going to realize that because there's so much damage, and I don't even know if we can get back out, but maybe we'll try to get them next time.
And this is your first race in this car. How many more races are you going to do the rest of the year with them?
We're talking about doing 6 or 7 more the rest of the year. Really hoping to have a good, strong run today, something to build on. And, obviously it all came to naught, but we'll try again next time.
Well, Phil Parsons and his crew are down here in the garage area, Bob, and they continue to work to see if they can get this car back out on the racetrack.
Well, there's Jeff Burton's car on the hook, and his demise, or at least his setback here in the early going, may have a significant impact on the rookie point standings, and the battle is really shaping up here. Look at the difference between Burton and Nemechek, and Nemechek, of course, is qualified up front for this race for 6th position, and so he's still well within the hunt. Steve Grissom, John Andretti, Ward Burton, also in the rookie points battle, and there you can see 6 through 9 in the standings. So we'll watch that race as we continue to bring you live coverage of the GM Goodwrench 400 here at Michigan International Speedway. We're under caution because of an accident. No green flag lap so far. The number 44 car of Bobby Hillen took the wildest ride. He apparently is okay, but you can see the car is not in very good shape, and it's being put on the rollback. There is Dick Trickle's car that is still in the middle of the backstretch. The 12 car, driven by Derek Cope, is still on pit road. It's been in several times as they are trying to get it back into competition. Well, as we continue to run under caution here, we will take some commercial breaks and continue with our live coverage in just a moment from Michigan International Speedway. NASCAR Winston Cup race number 21 of 31 in the 94 season, and those 5 cars have been eliminated from competition, at least for the moment, in that crash over in turn 2, and also Trickle, Shepherd, and Cope involved in it. But the good news is that Bobby Hillen, who took this car for a wild ride, is okay. He's with John Kernan.
Yes, Bob, Bobby has been checked out in the infield care center, and he is okay standing next to me. And Bobby, what a wild ride you took out there. It had to be very scary.
Well, you know, I couldn't see a whole lot of it. All I know is on the first lap, I saw the 12 car spinning. I don't know what caused it. And, you know, everybody was, you know, just stopped and sideways. And I thought my only chance was to slip by on the outside. And, you know, I have to look at the film to see what kind of move, if that was a bad move or not. But, you know, I just got hit head on after that and, you know, up on my side. And then I was just holding on that steering wheel as tight as I could. You know, I think that's what kept me from getting hurt.
Well, thankfully, Bobby Helen is okay. Let's go back further into the garage area with Dr. Jerry Punch, who's standing by with Dale Jarrett.
Well, the front of Dale Jarrett's Interstate Battery Chevrolet has been sheared away as the crew now works feverishly. The good news for Kelly and the family back home is Dale is okay and still sitting in the car. And Dale, did you see what happened out there?
Jerry, not really. I just saw a couple of cars. I saw the smoke, and I went high to try to miss them, and they slid up in front of me. So very unfortunate. I don't know where everybody's going on the first corner of the first lap of the race.
Obviously frustration from Dale Jarrett. Now, Jimmy Maycar, his crew chief, needed to have a quiet weekend here, but that is him over there trying to direct and orchestrate. They're going to have to rebuild the entire front of the car. Why does Jimmy Maycar want to have a quiet weekend? He's had a very eventful week, guys. He is the father of twins back in North Carolina, and Patty Jarrett Maycar, Dale Jarrett's sister, of course, and now Jimmy Maycar's wife. Had twins earlier in the week, a little boy and a little girl. And Ned, I know you've been smiling, and a lot of people were surprised to see Jimmy here. But Jimmy said, hey, I got a job to do, and so does my wife back home. And now his work is quite a bit more involved.
Well, they didn't expect those decals to get messed up that way. They put them on. It's a boy, it's a girl, and certainly we are proud of Patty and Jimmy, and they're glad that they're doing okay. It's unfortunate they've run into another stretch of bad luck here today. They've had their share of bad luck this year.
And another driver involved in the crash, Billy Standridge, is with John Kernan.
Well, Billy has been checked out. He says he's not sore, says he's all right. He's standing out here in the garage area. And Billy, what happened?
Well, it looked like the 12 car or maybe the 45 car missed a gear, and the 12 car went low on the start of the race. Me and Jeff Burton went on around him. Well, Jeff was behind me. I think he went on around him. And we got to the corner down here, and I believe the 12 car come back in and hit me, turned me sideways. And then I think Jeff hit me, and Bobby Hillen and several others. I know I seen the bottom of one of them.
Well, the car's torn up pretty badly. The guys are working on it now. Obviously, you haven't had a chance to talk to them, but just getting out initial impressions, are you going to be able to get it out on the racetrack again today?
They're probably working on it so they can get it on the truck, because I didn't see no hope of putting it back on the racetrack.
All right, thank you, Billy. Jerry?
Well, John, we caught up with Jeff Burton, leading rookie contender. And, Jeff, we don't have to explain what's going on with your car behind us here as you manage a smile. What happened out there?
Well, it looked like the 12 car missed a gear or maybe had gotten into some trouble. Something happened in front of him at the start. He and the 47 went into one side by side. And I don't know if the 12 came up, the 47 went down, but they got together and they both started spinning. I wanted to go low, but I couldn't because the 12 car was there, and I had to go high. And then I think I ended up getting the 47 car. And really just glad that Bobby Hillen's okay, because I saw him going. He was going through the air, and you know, this is all pretty bad. But everybody down here is really concerned today and yesterday about Ernie, and that's really where our thoughts are. We almost wish we didn't have to race today, and this is minor really compared to what he's fighting against right now.
What does that tell you about the NASCAR family, folks? Here's a guy with half his race car sheared away in the front and the back, and running for Rookie of the Year contention, not worried about himself or the incident. We'll take it about a driver who's 60 miles away in a hospital bed. Bob?
All right, Jerry, thank you very much. We're glad to see that all of these drivers that were involved in this crash are okay. Benny, see if you can determine exactly what happened here.
That's Rich Bickle in the black 45, the very bottom lower of your screen. He is going, looks like he missed a shift or something happened. You see how he's slow on the go. Now, Derek Cope moves down, which lets the 47 car, Billy Standridge, get alongside of it. The reason that Cope couldn't pull out, you cannot pass till you cross the start-finish line. Derek Cope had to be very careful to do that. Now, when they go down the corner and the groove narrows up, that's when they all run out of room.
Then the contact between Cope and Standridge, and that set off a chain reaction that involved about 7 or 8 cars. But again, the good news is that all drivers are okay. We'll be right back. running as they prepare to go green, and hopefully we can get a few laps of racing in here.
I think we're going to see several laps of racing, not green flag racing. See Martin, Greg Sachs, they fastball for our second round.
Now, some of these drivers have made pit stops during this caution. I suspect just to cap off the fuel so that they can go a few extra laps in case this thing goes green for a while. Derek Cook is preparing to lose a lap.
And then Standridge and the others on down through the rest of the field for those involved in the crash. They're still in the garage area trying to get some repairs made that will allow them to come back and get in a few more laps. Ted Musgrave is also carrying one of our roof cams, and there is his.
I wish we had seen that. I saw a lot of looked like moisture on that camera.
More rain, it looks like. It isn't raining hard by any means, but a little bit of sprinkle once in a while. Well, here we go. Pace car once again off the track, and hopefully we can see some racing as we are accustomed to here at Michigan International. The green comes out, and here we go. It's Jeff Bodine, John Andretti, Jeff Gordon, Bill Elliott, and Bobby Labonte up front.
And Rusty Wallace trying to make a pass on Bobby Labonte as they go into turn one.
Looks like Rusty will take that spot away. Meanwhile, Michael Walton alongside.
Like Earnhardt, Earnhardt lost a couple of positions there in the corner as the car didn't want to get up to speed, it appeared.
Martin directly behind Earnhardt. There's the pass they had so much trouble with in June, but it looks like that thing is perfect this time.
And it was as hot here in June as it is cool this weekend. Look at this. They come 3 wide through the front stretch as Rusty Wallace is right behind Bill Elliott on the low side of the track, and Jeff Gordon has the high line.
And they just worked together, Bob, and drafted right past Jeff Gordon. Drafting is very effective here at the speeds they run at the Michigan International Raceway. They run close to 200 miles an hour on the straightaways, and so the drafting plays an important role.
Now Rusty Wallace takes over third from Bill Elliott and sets his sights on John Andretti in the 43 car, but Elliott battles back on the outside, and Labonte and Gordon have got a good fight going.
Very careful, like Rusty Wallace, to realize when those cars on the outside of when you come off the corner like 2 and 4.
Well, Rusty's car just dives down to the inside when he goes into those turns. That's where he's picking up a lot of his speed.
There is Loy Allen, Dale Earnhardt, and Mark Martin as they battle for position, and I still don't think the 3 car is running as it wants to.
Well, he's got something that's pushing loose, or the car is just not right. Earnhardt's car is just not exactly right.
Back in the 11th position at the moment.
Greg Sachs coming up on him as Mark Martin tries to move on the inside of Earnhardt. And here's Joe Nemechek trying to pass Jeff Gordon as Gordon's sort of going backwards now. And Todd Bodine comes by and gets by both of them going into the turn.
Wow, what a run Todd Bodine has had here in the last few races. Just an outstanding performance. Mike Waltrip moving alongside Rick Mass there at the back of this pack.
Bill Elliott, Rusty Wallace trying to get by John Andretti. There's the 75 car, Factory Stores of America, Todd Bodine.
Bill Elliott still hanging on to that 3rd spot, but he is right on the back bumper of John Andretti and takes a look as they come down through the tri-oval.
There's a yellow strip of tape on the back of the King's car, designating a rookie driver in that car.
And they say, as far as anybody knows, that's the first time that a yellow stripe has been on the back of that 43 since Maurice Petty drove it. Went back in the early 40s, early 60s.
Yeah, April 2nd of 1961 was as close as we can recall. That's a long time. Martin, Earnhardt, Sachs, and Rudd running together.
Looks like Earnhardt's car is coming to him, Ned.
Yep.
Yeah, but he's still not getting off the turns the way he would like to. He gets into the turns real good. Mark Martin is the reverse. He's not getting into the turns real good, but he's really coming off of them.
Greg Sachs and Earnhardt trying to hook up in a draft to go by Mark Martin. That's the greatest thing about the racetrack here at Michigan. It's so wide. Look at, you can run 2 distinct different grooves.
Jerry, what's the problem with Earnhardt?
Now there's not something you can fix on the racetrack, guys. Earnhardt has complaining to the crew about the gear they have in the car. He said he's, let me how to put this phrase correctly, he's not happy
why would Earnhardt run a high here? Because right now he has his 7th Winston Cup championship basically locked up if he can get by without having any trouble. Now, he don't want to overturn the engine, over-rev the engine, and take a chance on blowing the thing up. And John Andretti is being passed for 2nd place, and he's still hanging on.
Well, Bill Elliott now inches into 2nd position as Andretti falls back to 3rd, and Rusty Wallace is watching these two ahead of him. A good battle for 2nd spot. That's Bill Elliott's bumper cam. We're looking back on Rusty Wallace. Here they come down through the tri-oval. They're side by side, but it looks as if John Andretti is going to get passed by because he's out of the draft.
Yeah. John Andretti's in serious trouble. Kind of like that draft going by Talladega, isn't it?
Yes, it is. You get down and several cars get hooked up together. They'll motor right on by. What John said up front, that he was going to be conservative, get the feel of the car. It doesn't have a lot of laps in it. Much of the practice was rained out yesterday. So he's sort of feeling the car out. Don't want to take any chances, which is smart.
Well, he came here saying that his hopes this weekend were for a top 20 starting position and a top 10 finish. He's definitely got the top 20 starting position. He was 2nd. Now, of course, wants the top 10. We drop back in the pack a little more and bring you some battles that are going on in the mid and back portions of the pack. The 31 car of Ward Burton is definitely on the move.
31 car is the Hardy's Chevrolet.
Ward had a little problem in qualifying here on Friday. He brushed the wall as he was coming around to get the green flag. He came in, they worked on the car a little bit, and he went back out and made his qualifying run, but it was not a good run. I'm sure he didn't feel comfortable with it. Then they worked on the car overnight, came out yesterday and had a very good qualifying run, and felt he had a much faster car than his starting position would indicate.
And we see that Earnhardt is falling back in the clutches of Ricky Rudd and Ward Burton.
Dale is back to 14th. Rudd running in 15th position. Ward Burton is 17th. Being followed by Ken Schrader. That's the distance up to the leader, Jeff Bodine, who has stretched out his advantage now as Bodine is leading his 13th event here at Michigan in his 26th start.
There's the bumper cam on Bill Elliott's car.
3 abreast, Kyle Petty going, no, he said, I better not do that. That was late speed in the middle, and he got it from the outside.
Looks like the 02 car of maybe Jeff Purvis.
Okay.
Yes, it is. That's Jeff Purvis driving T.W. Taylor's car. And since Bobby Hamilton missed the show, they put the Kendall Oil sponsorship on the Jeff Purvis car.
Purvis carrying Kendall colors this afternoon. Here's the battle for 2nd position as Rusty Wallace has gotten a bite off the 2nd corner and looks down to the inside of Elliott, trying to take over 2nd, but Elliott just will not give it up. Let's see what happens as they go to 3. Wallace pulls ahead slightly, but battling back on the outside is Bill Elliott. And look at John Andretti coming up beside Jeff Gordon. Here's Jerry Punch.
As you watch John Andretti try to make a move beneath Jeff Gordon with Joe Nemechek in tow, we might mention that he said John Andretti hadn't been in the car very much. Well, tried none. He got about 4 laps of practice on yesterday morning. They were going to change the engine and practice in the afternoon. He didn't get any practice because of the rain and the similar weather in the afternoon because of the engine change. So this race setup is totally new to John Andretti. Richard Petty just told me a minute ago, he said, I think John's going to settle in and take it easy. Well, we just saw that's not going to happen, and Andretti tried to make a move.
Yeah, he's back to 6th position, Jerry, but holding his own right now, trying to keep Nemechek behind him, and there is the king, Richard Petty, looking on as his new driver, John Andretti, tries to bring home at least a top 10 finish here at Michigan International Speedway. We'll be back with more of our live coverage of the GM Goodwrench 400 after these messages. Speedway, this would be a good time to go out and buy a chainsaw, wouldn't it, Benny? It's cold enough here this weekend to have a fire. I guarantee you.
If you're living at one of those pump tents, you definitely want a fire.
You're watching live coverage of the GM Goodwrench 400 from Michigan International. There is our leader, Jeff Bodine, who started from the pole position. He finished 28th here in the June race, but it's been all Bodine this weekend in terms of both qualifying and the race. He has a rather healthy advantage. In fact, a 1.8-second lead over Rusty Wallace in 2nd. And Bobby Labonte has moved up to 3rd position. And here's how Rusty got 2nd position away from Bill Elliott.
Came off the 2nd corner, got on the inside. Tries to get by Bill Elliott. In the meantime, here comes Bobby Labonte. He comes along with Rusty Wallace, takes over that third spot.
Well, Labonte's having a great run, and he won here yesterday, didn't he?
He won yesterday in the Busch.
Yep. What?
Yeah, but the paper says that Bobby Labonte won. So
you can see how he won.
Morgan Shepherd came back out while we were on the break, so the Wood Brothers car is back out there, and Sterling Marlin apparently is running on 7 cylinders. He has dropped way back behind. He's more than half a lap behind the leaders. It sounds like when he goes by, he's fluttering a little bit.
Now here's Ken Schrader, who's moved up on Dale Earnhardt, who is right behind Ward Burton. This is 14th, 15th, and 16th, with Earnhardt now in 15th place.
See Brett Bodine, the green car following these two. Once again, we can see that these cars run all over the racetrack in the corner. Some high, some low, some in the middle of the racetrack. And as the race wears on, some of these cars will probably run even higher than they are now. There's the field summary, the all-light field summary. Jimmy Spencer is driving that McDonald's Ford with that broken shoulder, that shoulder blade that he practiced in Indianapolis.
Yep. Here's Schrader to the inside now of Earnhardt to challenge for that spot as Brett Bodine comes along with Ken.
That'll give him a little bit of a boost in the draft there.
And Jeff Gordon and Bill Elliott are battling for what? 4th spot. It's Jeff Bodine, Rusty Wallace, and Bobby Labonte ahead of this duo. Gordon on the inside and Elliott on the outside.
Right there, Gordon has the advantage, but Elliott's going to have to pick it back up as he comes off the turn. He has the momentum coming off of turn 4. So there he goes back in front.
And we see John Andretti, the STP Pontiac, still hanging on.
Yep.
That's 6th spot, followed by Joe Nemechek.
And then a 2 abreast race involving Todd Bodine on your right and Mark Martin, who's carrying a roof cam.
Well, they got off so close together there as it came off the turn.
And there's Rick Mast trying to pass both those guys as they race along. One car, the black and white car, is Rick Mast, our pole winner from the Brickyard 400. Michael Walton, Pembroke Pontiac following.
Schrader and Earnhardt once again are added for position. They came awfully close coming off the 4th turn, and now Brett moves down to the inside to make it 3 wide of the starting line. And who's going to come out of this battle ahead?
I think Brett's going to have to back off. Yeah, he does. Earnhardt doesn't. Both of them backed off. Earnhardt just drove on in there on the outside. But here comes Schrader back on the inside once again.
Good sense prevailed on Brett Bodine's part.
Yeah. Now, he might have a run here now. He's got both of them side by side. Of course, they were side by side. I thought he might have a good run, Brett Bodine, and be able to draft past him, but he couldn't do it that time. In fact, he's got Ricky Rudd to contend with back there on his bumper.
They'll earn 11 top 10 finishes in 14 races. That's pretty strong.
The point leader seeking his 7th NASCAR Winston Cup championship this year. Now Schrader, I believe.
Well, he had him there for a moment.
Yep.
His father would have told him that he was clear on the high side. He could run up there in front of Earnhardt, but he didn't do it.
Now he's going to do it.
Now he's not good coming off the turn.
Yep.
And we see Earnhardt is running higher and higher on the racetrack. Jerry Punch reported that he felt like he didn't have quite enough gear in his car. So the bigger he can make the racetrack, the higher he runs, the more he will help the gear situation. He will turn more RPM the higher he runs on the racetrack.
Michael, Ward Burton very close to the wall off of 4.
Also very close to that 19 car, Loy Allen.
Another good battle here. There are good battles all over the track.
This is going down in turn 1, right in the middle of the corner.
12th, 13th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th.
Ward Burton started 26th. He is currently the highest he has been in the serial scoring. 14th. His starting position was his lowest. So Ward Burton, who told me last week after the Watkins Glen race that he was going to have a strong car here at Michigan, does.
Now Earnhardt moved to the bottom of the racetrack that time, or I guess Kenny Schrader got on the outside of him and gave him not much of a choice except to go low. Schrader takes that spot away from Earnhardt. So Harry Gant back there behind Brett Bodine. This is Harry Gant's last race here at Michigan. And remember all those races, David? Harry Gant used to run that high line around this racetrack, kicking up dust right against the wall.
Yep.
We won't be able to see Harry do that anymore.
He won this race back in 1992. There is Sterling Marlin. Here's Jerry Punch with an explanation of what's wrong with this car.
Well, you mentioned that Sterling Marlin was not running up to par, and indeed, the diagnosis, he has lost a cylinder. He is currently running no more than about 7,000 RPM, whereas the race speed here would dictate about 8,300 to 8,400 RPM on a race setup. So he's about 1,400 RPMs down, running on 7 cylinders, and spotters tell us that they have seen a couple of puffs of smoke out of the side of the Kodak film Chevrolet.
He's dropped all the way back to 32nd position, the final driver on the lead lap.
Yeah, and he's not too far from being lapped, about 3 or 4 seconds. And here they come there. You can see him on the bottom of the screen. There's Jeff Bodine, and Rusty Wallace is gaining on Jeff Bodine.
Jeff Bodine, the last time he won the pole, he won the race. That was at Pocono. He led 156 of the 200 laps there. Back in a moment. And that's qualifying 6th. That'll be great tonight at 9 o'clock. Still a little precip out there, looks like.
If I was driving, that'd scare me to death, I'll tell you. But since I'm not, it still scares me to death.
Yeah, I'm going to say, it scares me. There's Mark Martin going to the inside of Nemechek and passing him with ease.
And here, Rusty Wallace has caught our leader, Jeff Bodine.
How about that? Bodine had you remember just a few laps ago, had almost a 2-second lead, but now has closed in right on his back bumper.
Bodine is running the Hoosier tires as he has all year long. Of course, Rusty on the Goodyears that he has run all year long. Didn't get much of a feel other than the fact that Bodine sat on the pole. As well, there was a lot of difference in the tires here, but they didn't get to run a lot. So I don't know if anyone had thought that one tire was a lot better than the other or not.
The 13 teams chose the Hoosiers this weekend, and I believe that's about as many as they have had. Wallace, by the way, is driving captain here this weekend, named for Captain Roger Penske. He won the race in this car here in June and also drove it at the Brickyard 400, where his fate was not quite as good, but it's performing well here at Michigan once again. And Joe Nemechek is off the pace as he has dropped back further. John Kernan is there as Nemechek, in fact, comes in.
Well, this is a little bit early for scheduled pit stops. The problem with Joe Nemechek, he radioed in the last lap that he thought he had a tire going down. The right sides are on. It will be a 4-tire change. We're about 10 laps away from scheduled pit stop. Haven't seen which tire might be flat yet. Don't see any blistering problems. We wouldn't expect that on such a cool day as this. Nemechek is down and away. It looks like possibly the right front tire has gone down just a little bit.
Now the 6 and 43 are battling for position. Andretti and Mark Martin.
7 for 6.
Yep.
See, Mark Martin gets alongside, but those guys on the outside get such a run off the corner. Momentum carries them. It's difficult for those on the inside to make that pass.
Well, it's really great to see 2 famous names in racing brought together for this event, Andretti and Petty, but John loses the position to Mark Martin. And the question is, can Mark Martin do what he did last year and reel off 4 in a row here? The yellow flag is out. We think it could be because of rain. Now we'll watch this race to the line. Of course, at this point, Rusty Wallace is looking for 5 bonus points for leaving the lap because, as we documented, Mark Martin and Ken Schrader are in a very close battle for position in the point standing. They're in turn number 4. Let's see what Rusty does.
Here he comes on the inside. Can he make the pass? It's going to be close.
Yes, he does,
made it
by about a half a car length. Our second caution comes out. Rusty Wallace has now led 13 of the races in 1994.
You see our flagman Doyle Ford pointing to the sky. That means, guys, the caution is because of rain. The racetrack a little bit damp.
Jerry Punch has more.
You ordinarily don't hear these drivers complain very much, but Benny, about 2 laps ago, the rain is not as much here on the front straightaway, but apparently became a little more intense, more than a fine mist in the backstretch, and so most of the front-running drivers, including the leader, which you should never complain, I guess, said that, hey, it's getting a little slippery out here, the rain's coming down, we need a caution flag. Ironically, though, the leader at that point in time complaining was Rusty Wallace because he was due to pit the next lap by. So obviously the caution comes out, and now we'll be able to see everyone make an entry on the pit road for what will be their first pit stop of the afternoon.
And you can see it's not only wet, but it's very, very cool here this afternoon. Some fans wrapped up in blankets.
We talked about a pit window of 45 to 50 laps. This will be the 46th lap when they come by. Now they'll get the fuel gauge. They'll find out exactly how much fuel they've used, and we'll find out how many cars can run past that 50-lap mark.
Here's John Kernan.
Bobby Labonte running in third right now as his crew gets ready to go over the wall to change 4 tires. The car is a little bit loose, so they're going to put a couple of rounds of bite in it. Jerry?
Don't expect to see any change down here in the 2 pits, the Miller Genuine Draft pits. We're going to let you watch all 3 of the front runners pit. 2, 7, and 22. 3, 4 Thunderbird pitting, guys, if you go back up there.
Right side's going at that on the 22 car. Right side is down. We see a chassis adjustment in the 2 car. The wrench back in the rear, changing the chassis. Left side is up on the 22. The 7 and the 2 going up about the same time. Now Bobby Labonte leaves, but he's back by the pit road. Is he going to beat those cars out? Jeff Gordon beats the 7 car out. Who's going to win the race? It's Bill Elliott.
Beat them all out.
Elliott was pitted down toward turn 1 and therefore was able to get out ahead of everybody.
You can see the race still goes on coming out of pit road.
A lot of smoke coming up from the tires as the drivers peel off pit road and try to get the best track position that they can for the restart.
A lot easier to win those positions on pit road than it is on the racetrack.
Here's the race off pit road now. Labonte is already out. Here comes Jeff Gordon. But watch at the bottom behind Andretti. There is Bill Elliott, whose Junior Johnson crew gets the car out quickly and ahead of everybody else.
Well, Mike Beam and the crew did a great job that time. Rusty Wallace, our leader, went back to 6th spot, it looks like, on that caution flag. That's very unusual for Miller Genuine Draft crew.
Yes, it is. Well, we are under a caution here because of some raindrops that are falling on Michigan International. We'll take a break and be right back. Cloudy and foggy and who knows what else here at Michigan, and we are under caution because of the raindrops that are falling. Now, we just had a series of pit stops, and quite frankly, Rusty Wallace didn't have a good one. Jerry, can you explain what happened?
Well, actually, a couple things happened, Bob. The lug nuts are glued on the wheels, and apparently with this rain and humidity, what Buddy Parrott told me is when they picked the tire up, with this humidity, the lug nuts are falling off, so the right rear lug nuts fell off the wheel as if they had to put it on, they had to stop and get extra lug nuts and put it on. And, of course, that was one part of the problem. Then the left rear tire, Paul Vanderlaan, you see when they finish the right side, they go to the left side. The left rear tire, Paul Vanderlaan takes the tire off, turns around, and the tire he's going to replace wasn't there. He had to wait on that tire. They're waiting, and waiting. They finally were able to get the tire on, drop the jacket. That cost them about an extra 4.5 or 5 seconds. And guys, in the pits, that is an eternity.
And you say, why wasn't the left rear tire there? Because you're only allowed so many people across the wall. Now, someone did not come back across the wall. That guy could not go over with that tire. Otherwise, NASCAR would penalize him, and the penalty would be more than waiting.
And John Kernan, Rick Mast made a couple of pit stops, didn't he?
Well, what happened on the first pit stop, Rick was running in 8th, came in, they had an air wrench break, so they decided since they didn't get to scuff into any tires yesterday, they would scuff in a set of right sides there. They had 2 right side stickers on, went back out around the racetrack, made a lap, heated the tires up a little bit, took the right sides off, put them off, and put 2 more sticker tires on that car. So they're doing a little stuff that they should have been doing yesterday, but never got the chance because of the weather.
Yep, it was raining yesterday, and now it's at least sprinkling again today.
And Rick Mast was running about 8th spot, and he's back all the way to in the 30s now.
Here comes Darrell Waltrip and Sterling Marlin out of the pit area after apparently making another stop. Well, let's show you a pit summary. Rusty Wallace was first when the caution came out, but he comes out in 7th position. Bodine from 2nd to 5th. Bobby Labonte stayed the same. Bill Elliott moved up 2, and Jeff Gordon moved up 1 position. Jimmy Spencer staying out there to lead lead our race at the moment under caution as we await this light shower to pass over the 100,000 people gathered here this afternoon. Still under caution. Jimmy Spencer was our leader. However, he has come in for a pit stop. The hood is up on the 4 car. Rick Mast is just ahead of Jimmy Spencer going down pit road, and hopefully we'll be back to green here shortly.
And we see Rick Mast has also made another pit stop. And Jerry Punch, what are they doing to the 4 car?
About everything you can do possibly on pit road, Benny. They have changed the spark plug wires. They've changed the ignition. They just now took the breather off, and that's Tony Glover, Ron Pittman, and the crew. They just changed the carburetor. They were running on 7 cylinders. We documented that earlier, about 7,000 RPMs. They just now finally changed the carburetor. Their thinking is that if it doesn't fire this time and run on 8, it may be a broken valve spring, which would not be good news at all for Sterling Marlin. Well, it's still misting rain down here on pit road, but let's check in with John Kernan. John?
Well, Darrell Waltrip was in and just got here from the garage area, Jerry, and he came in and made a minor adjustment. I was in the garage area checking out the radar, and as you see, the skies are starting to lighten up right now. And according to the radar, we don't have any rain in the area. So let's go with that officially, guys. No rain in the area, nothing behind us. I think we're going to be okay.
Tell that to the drivers and to their windshields that show sprinkles. Nevertheless, it has stopped for the moment, and here we go once again. The green is back out, and we are racing at Michigan International. The 41 car of Nemechek is on the tail end of the lead lap. The leader of the race is Bill Elliott.
Yes, we saw Nemechek make an unscheduled pit stop and change 4 tires, which did get him a lap down.
Now, he and Harry Dent would do well to get in single file, because when they run side by side there, because now Dent gets out in front of Nemechek. Bill Elliott is going to catch him in a hurry. He is the leader of the race. Dent is being shown in front of that down as well. They can tail in the lead lap now.
And you wonder why Jimmy Spencer stayed out there and lost all that track position. As I said, Spencer, there goes Elliott on the outside of Nemechek.
Bobby Labonte coming on the inside of Nemechek.
He's going to make it 3 wide and race Elliott to the first turn for the lead.
What do you think led that lap, Bobby? You think it was Bobby Labonte led that lap?
I wasn't watching the starting line, to be honest with you. I was more interested in whether Labonte was going to get through this area. He did, but now Jeff Gordon challenges him on the outside for second spot.
There's Rusty Wallace on the inside. Remember that Miller Genuine Draft Ford. We saw a lot of muscle in that car early on. There's another car with a lot of muscle. It's 7 car, Jeff Bodine. There's Elliott with the lead, Bobby Labonte in second, and Jeff Gordon in third.
And this is the 22nd Michigan race that Elliott has led in 34 races. Look at the battles back here. Man.
There's Rudd. Ted Musgrave on the inside. Jeremy Mayfield right behind Ricky Rudd.
Ted Musgrave in there.
Get well wishes to Ernie Irvin on the dashboard of that car on the right.
That's Jeff Purvis in the 02 car, the Kendall car, right in front of Musgrave.
Ted is currently running in 27th position.
Jeff Burton goes back out, goes down pit road, his Langley Ford.
We did mention that Morgan Shepherd is back in the race, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Good.
See Darrell Waltrip and Rick Mast. And as strong as Rick Mast was running at the very beginning of the race, he doesn't seem to have that power or that speed right now. There's a race for 3rd place. Bodine takes it away from Jeff Gordon, or he's trying to take it away.
And Rusty Wallace will drop down to the low side and follow Jeff Bodine. Crash is occurring in turn 3.
Todd Bodine. There's another car spinning up through there, and cars going by. Dale Earnhardt, course leader, and heavy damage to the Goodwrench Chevrolet.
Well, you talk about things that happen during a season that can have major impact on a championship, and this is a possibility here. Let's hope that Dale is okay and that Todd Bodine is all right. There is heavy damage to both of their cars in turn 3.
And both ends of Todd Bodine's car. See the front and the rear.
Worst possible spot going in the corner when the car has top speed. Probably here's the Earnhardt and Todd Bodine are going to get together going in turn 3. Todd Bodine goes up, they make contact, turns Bodine around. Earnhardt meanwhile spins and will go up and hit the wall. Boy, look at those roof flaps doing that job, keeping that car on the ground.
The 75 car got off the ground after the initial impact, but it appears as if the roof flaps did their work in that instance also. Dale Earnhardt is out of the car, and we're glad to see him okay. Talking with the safety workers up there in the third turn, and Todd Bodine also gets out of his car, so both drivers okay. Another angle of this crash.
Right, crash door. There's Earnhardt. Let's see if we can watch Earnhardt and see where he makes contact with. It is going to be the outside retaining wall. He goes up and makes contact with the front.
Pretty significant contact, though.
He didn't catch any brakes there because he'd been better off if the back end had went in there, because the car would have been easier to fix than the front.
He's gone over and looked at the right side of it to see what it looks like. Now put his helmet back inside.
The crash on lap number 56 of 200 here at Michigan International, involving Todd Bodine and Dale Earnhardt. Bodine was also involved to a certain extent. He has damage there on the right front of the car.
Well, he was very close to his brother, Todd, and a bunch of cars running close together. We'll take a look at it again and see if we can see where he got involved. You can see Todd Bodine on the inside. There's Brett right behind him in the green car. And Todd, I don't know if he thought he had Earnhardt cleared or what the situation, but they touch, spins Todd spinning the wrong way, and Brett does indeed get into Earnhardt a little bit. That might be what spun Earnhardt down to the inside.
I think you're exactly right, Ned. The contact between Brett Bodine and Earnhardt is what turned Earnhardt around. There we see the black car, the Goodwrench Chevrolet, down in the grass. He goes back across the racetrack and pops that wall with a nose. And Jerry Punch, what did Earnhardt say on the radio to Richard Childress and the crew?
Well, I'll tell you, the sign of a true champion. Earnhardt, involved in the crash, once the car came to a halt, he began giving instructions to the crew on how to fix it. He said, guys, we're going to need, here, take a list. He said, oil cooler, we're going to need radiator, we're going to need suspension parts, we're going to need this. Andy Petrie and the crew began running back to the truck to collect those parts before the car has even arrived back here in the garage area. Earnhardt directing the resurrection or reconstruction of his car before the car even gets here. In fact, he had to climb in the ambulance. NASCAR mandates that when you're involved in an incident, you must go to the care center and be checked out. He will go there and come out very shortly.
Well, Jerry, Dale Earnhardt was very proud in the garage area this morning. His son, Dale Jr., won his first feature race last night, a late model stock car race in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
And congratulations to him, but his father's fate is not quite as good here this afternoon. Well, earlier today we had some excitement on the backstretch. There's the Mayflower truck parked behind the backstretch. And you can see that the haulers are positioned down here in the garage area, and the drivers of these transporters are involved in competition themselves in the Mayflower Challenge. It was round 3 of the Truckers Challenge here today, and the final was going to be held in Darlington, September the 3rd. This was on the backstretch early this morning here at Michigan.
There we see the trucks going through a course, and they time these trucks. They also knock off points if they run over these pylons. And there we see that truck is stopped. The brakes locked up on Mike Culberson's truck. Calling the car a truck. He was last year the 1993 Mayflower champion. This time,
my hand hit the hand valve.
His hand hit the hand valve inside the truck, and you can see why they call him Grumpy.
And this is Rod Pickler, right? And didn't he used to drive your hauler?
In 1978, as Grumpy watches on, Rod Pickler ends his run. He puts his hat back on the right way.
He's battling for the points lead. The points leader is Tom McCrimmon. What do you think?
Not bad. Felt pretty good. Yeah, not too bad.
Not too bad. Felt pretty good.
But watch this performance. This was just an outstanding drive.
This is Craig Bowes. He drives the Winston Select scoreboard that goes to each and every race. He takes his truck and trailer through these pylons against the clock.
You think there isn't skill involved in this? I'll guarantee there is. There's Pickler, who's saying, oh boy, looks like my challenger is doing extremely well, as he did. Look at him bring this big hauler through these pylons.
And again, each time they hit one, they will penalize them seconds for contact with a pylon. And Greg brings the old truck to a stop.
And then they went to the effort of tabulating the points for the Mayflower Challenge. As Craig completes his run, he's pretty happy.
It's tough. It's tough. Still tight.
Now they tabulate the points, and we've got a great battle going to the final round at Darlington September 3rd. But the winner today was Craig Bowe's $1,500 check, and our congratulations.
And a trophy. Attaboy, Craig.
Yeah, there you go. Again, we'll be around for the final September 3rd at Darlington in the Mayflower Challenge. So we will wait for that and the $25,000 check that goes along for the winner.
That's pretty serious money.
Not bad at all. And besides that, it just gives the truck drivers an opportunity to show their skills. Here's John Kernan.
Jeff Bodine out running in the 4th position. He led the early portions of this race, has been talking on the radio with his crew chief Paul Andrews and also with crewman Danny Glad. They're discussing a possible tire problem. He thought he may have a tire going down, or he might have picked up something on the tire, because right before the last caution period, when they just gone back to green, he felt a vibration in the car. He wanted to come in and pit, but as we've seen a couple of accidents a little further back in the pack, Jeff didn't want to come in and pit and get sent to the back of the pack where he could be caught up in a wreck. Instead, he's going to go out, and as soon as we start green, if he finds out he does indeed have a problem, he'll pit for right side tires only. Well, Dale Earnhardt has come out of the infield care center, and Jerry Punch is standing by with him.
Dale, you walked out of the care center, obviously okay. What happened up there?
Well, Todd and I came off the corner, and he's under me, and I dragged down close together, trying to draft back, you know, to buy him down the straightaway, and we got together. When we got together, his car sort of pitched to the right, and I tried to get away, but I couldn't, and then we was together more, and it spun him to the outside, and I was spinning. I started the inside, and somebody hit me from the rear and spun me to the inside, so came back up and hit the wall. I was lucky. He's okay, and we've talked, so hopefully everything's okay. We just wish Ernie the best.
His thoughts are Ernie. Dale, at the beginning of the race, the car didn't want to come up to speed. Was there a problem?
Well, it pushed him. Something was wrong with the front end, and we worked on it, and I thought it was going to be a little better, and I don't know.
Dale Earnhardt very frustrated. They bring the car. The car has just now reached the garage area, and they are back in the car around. The crew has everything laid out here. They have oil lines. They have a torch already lit, ready to go. They have an entire front end assembly and suspension. The right front of the car heavily damaged. Dale Earnhardt likes to get involved. He doesn't like to get involved, but he will get involved usually in the reconstruction of this car. He stands behind the car, and take a look at this crew. Like ants at a picnic, they begin sawing and descending on this Chevrolet Lumina as we go back to green flag racing.
I have a feeling that he's going to get back out on the racetrack, because the last time he DNF'd because of an accident was back in 1986. Green is out.
What, 1986?
86.
There's Joe Nemechek, the yellow car on the inside, the 90 discount muffler car. He's racing Bill Elliott, our leader, trying to get that lap back.
And it doesn't look like it's going to be able to. He came in and put on full fresh tires during that caution flag. Thought it might give him what he needed, but he isn't going to be able to do it right now. These couple of cars that were involved in the very first crash have gone back out. Bill Parsons and Dale Jarrett, but they're about 50-some odd laps down.
Now the scramble for position off the corner. Bobby Labonte to the inside of Bill Elliott. And it's Rusty Wallace trailing this foursome here. 3 wide into 1. That's Jeff Bodine down on the bottom of the racetrack. He comes up and has second position from Jeff Gordon. And Jerry Punch is with Todd Bodine.
And as you heard Dale Earnhardt say, Todd is okay physically. Todd obviously disappointed. What happened up there?
Well, just one of them racing deals. You know, he was trying to stay tucked up tight on my quarter panel to keep the draft, and the car moved around a little bit, and I don't know if he got over, I went up, whatever, we got together. They turned me up in front of him. I turned left as hard as I could, and he tried to turn away from me, but when that happens, it sucks you right together. There's nothing you can do. It's just one of them racing deals.
You had a couple of contacts with the wall early on, a little brushing with the wall. Did you have a problem with the car?
I'm sorry, Jerry, I didn't catch you. The car was handling decent. We were biding our time. It wasn't perfect. We made a couple adjustments on that stop, and it got better. And in fact, that's why I could get under Dale there. He made it bobbled a little bit, and I got under him. But you know, it's tough. Factory stores, Adidas Ford, out for the day.
And they'll call it a day here. Of course, tough break for the Bushwalk Motorsports team.
All right, thank you, Jerry. We're riding inside with Mark Martin. Jeff Bodine has reassumed command of this race. In fact, he is pulling away as the others behind him battle side by side for position. Right behind him are Bill Elliott and Rusty Wallace, and then Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon are wheel to wheel.
And while they race the way they've been racing for a few laps, that'll give Jeff Bodine an opportunity to move away. And apparently that vibration or whatever he felt that John Kernan talked about, maybe it's not bothering him right now because he's able to pull away with it.
Kyle Petty, who took a provisional.
Yeah, he did.
Sure did. Yep. We see him up racing for what position?
Well, let's check here. He's racing for 11th, it looks like.
Wow, pretty good run.
Yep. Currently, he's 12th. Okay, he's in 12th position, started 39th. And Ken Schrader is in 10th position. He started back in 20th, and that's the highest that he has been all day.
I talked to Kyle in the driver's meeting this morning, and he said he had no idea what to expect. He'd only had 4 laps on the racetrack and didn't get to re-qualify yesterday after a poor qualifying effort on Friday. They blew an engine just before qualifying, second round qualifying yesterday, so he didn't get any practice or didn't get to qualify. Then it rained the qualifying out for the, practice out for the second for the late yesterday, so he didn't have much track time.
Looks like that Ward Burton is on the move again. The Hardy's car, once again, he was way up high coming off turn 4. The car close to scraping the wall.
He closing in on the back of Kenny Schrader.
There is John Andretti, who started from the outside of the front row, of course, and Rusty Wallace.
Something wrong with Bill Elliott. He is off the pace down the back straightaway, slow down the back straightaway for the Budweiser Ford. Maybe he just got off the gas. He's back and forth trying to feel what's wrong with the car, looks like.
7-time winner here at Michigan. He's won the June race 4 times and this August race 3 times. Most recently, he won this race in '87.
He might have just got high coming off the turn 2 and had to get out of the gas.
That is a possibility because it looks like his car is up to speed now.
But he's fallen back to 5th spot.
And meanwhile, look, Rusty Wallace has caught Jeff Bodine. You know, Jeff Bodine was complaining about a vibration a moment ago and thinking about a pit stop. At some race this year, they were talking about the Hoosier tires. They were talking about the buildup and what a concern it was, and it was making the car vibrate. Could it be they're having some more problems with that today?
I think that was Jeff's complaint last weekend at Watkins Glen, that the tires just accumulated so much buildup that he couldn't handle it. But Jeff Bodine leads over Rusty Wallace, Jeff Gordon, and Mark Martin as we are 68 laps into the 200 lap Goodwrench 400. Speedway for the GM Goodwrench 400 NASCAR Winston Cup race. And we're showing you a Graham Field summary where everybody was running just a lap ago.
You forgot about Wayne and Kay, our very special guest in the booth today, bringing you this telecast.
They're doing a great job, aren't they?
Huh? Instead of work, like I told you. Hey, what? Rusty Wallace is strong today.
Yes, he is. But Jeff has also been very strong.
And Jeff Bodine is really good for about 10 or 15 laps after a restart.
Dale Earnhardt 32nd at the moment as the laps continue to click off as his car is being repaired because of an accident that he was involved in with Todd Bodine. Now, the 7 car of Jeff Bodine was reported to have a vibration a while ago. Jerry, who is with Paul Andrews, so what's the story now?
Well, let's ask Paul. Paul, the report is a vibration in the car. What's the problem?
Well, we think it's just a wheel balance problem. We had a set like this in practice the other day. It kind of quit at the end of the straightaway, so we're hoping that's what it is.
So no chance it's build-up. It just happened with this latest set of tires?
No, I don't think so. The build-up on the last set of tires was really good. I don't think there's a problem like that.
So possibly a balance problem, a vibration that seems now to quit about halfway down the straightaway. That's why Jeff's able to hang on to his lead, at least for the time being.
Yeah, he is hanging on by a couple of car lengths over Rusty Wallace.
But this is a different set of tires.
Let's draw back a little bit and catch some more action in the pack. We zoom in on Rick Mast, Jeff Purvis, and Brett Bodine.
Jeff Purvis, of course, in the 0-2, and both Brett Bodine and the Rick Mast car made pit stops during this last caution, so they were at the tail end of those on the lead lap. So they're making their way back up through there pretty good, it looks like. And that damage that Brett has in the right front, he tripped Earnhardt a little bit when Earnhardt came down in front of him after Earnhardt and Brett's brother Todd
there.
And Jeff
seemed to be bothering Brett.
And Jeff Burbach would love to have a good run today because Country Time is sponsored that for the limited schedule he runs with James Finch, announced they will not be back next year. So if you'd like to have a good showing, maybe give him a full-time Winston Cup ride in 1995.
Back up front, it is still Jeff Bodine hanging on to the lead. And we will show you the Winston Cup points leaders and where they started and where they are now. Dale Earnhardt started 11th. He's now 33rd. Of course, Ernie Irvan still recuperating from his injury suffered yesterday here. Rusty Wallace started 7th. He's running 2nd. Mark Martin has moved up to 4th, and Ken Schrader has moved from 20th to 10th. It's just about 2 o'clock Eastern Time. If you're just joining us, we welcome you to Michigan International Speedway, where Jeff Bodine does hang on to the lead. And the report on Ernie Irvan is that he had a comfortable night. However, the condition essentially remains unchanged. He is still in critical condition at a hospital in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
And the folks with Ernie Irvan, I went by there last night after we left the racetrack, and they wanted to thank a lot of folks. I mean, all the drivers and crews that came by last night just to tell them they were thinking of them. And Rick Hendrick loaned the plane, brought Ernie Irvan's family up yesterday. The Starnes Aviation down in Charlotte brought up Robert Yates' crew. They were all there, just all banded together, holding hands and saying, let's get this guy well soon.
Well, I dare say that there probably isn't a single person among the 100,000 gathered here today that did not think about Ernie at the start of the race and will continue to think about him until he's out of the hospital. Here's Dave Marcus slow on the racetrack. Jerry, what's wrong?
Well, I was going to comment on the Ernie Irvan situation. I spoke to Robert Yates this morning at the hospital. Robert, of course, there with Kim and the family. And asked Robert, you know, I know it's a difficult time, but we had heard that they were considering even running the car. And Robert said, you know, we had thoughts about possibly running the car. And if Ernie Irvan were to come out of this last night and wake up and say, guys, go race, they had planned on possibly putting Hut Strickland in that car, pulling a backup car out and racing it. But now Ernie's situation, he has had a stable night, but is still basically in intensive care, unchanged. So they decided to hold off and not make a decision on what they will do with that race team until things improve with Ernie, until maybe Ernie can be a part of that decision. So that's where it stands right now with Robert Yates. We might mention Bill Elliott a moment ago. You saw him back off and lose quite a few car lengths. He still now holds the 5th position, but apparently his first set of tires were very, very loose. This set of tires he developed quite a push with, so he's going to back off and let the car free up and let the track come to him. He said, apparently he hasn't won 7 times here by running the car hard early on in the race.
Very good point. And John Kernan will have the update now on Dave Marcus. John?
Bob, Dave Marcus slowly coming down pit road. The last lap as he came by the flag stand, he dropped quickly off the pace. He now makes a hard left-hand turn into the garage area. He radioed in and told his crew an engine problem. Apparently they've broken something in the engine. The oil pressure went to the bottom of the scale. So Dave Marcus' day looks to be over.
Well, Paul, we've been talking about those other things you've been seeing on your screen. Some great racing back in the pack there. Those guys have really been going at it. And Kyle finally looks like he's going to be able to get ahead of John Andretti. They've been racing for about 10 laps there, almost side by side.
Yeah, that was great. 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th right here.
And some of our reporters are saying they can't fix the 3-car.
Uh-oh.
Jerry Punch, can they fix it?
Manny, unbelievable. You saw all the equipment they had back there in the garage area. We are now being told the frame is bent so badly they cannot fix the car, and they are through for today. Unbelievable. You talked about the point chase. It's a total scramble right now.
Yeah, it sure is. I mean, we know that Ernie will probably not be back this season to gain any more points. We certainly hope he will be, but that apparently is pretty unlikely at this point. And now with Earnhardt out, the interval between Dale and Rusty and Mark and Ken Schrader could very definitely close in here this afternoon.
We'll see Mark Martin just took over that 3rd spot from Jeff Gordon. There's our leader on the left side of the screen. Jeff Gordon's leader, Rusty Wallace is 2nd, and there's 3rd place for Mark Martin.
John Kernan, 13 started on Hoosiers, and currently 4 of them are in the top 11.
Well, Loy Allen had been running near the top 10. In fact, I think I had him at about 8th place. This is the tire that came off his right rear. Loy has just been in the pit. You can see we've got a blistering problem. Now, back in June, some of the Hoosier teams also experienced a blistering problem because they were running too high in air pressure. The Hoosier engineers have just come over and looked at this tire to check it out, and you better believe they'll be talking to the rest of the Hoosier teams, but we're seeing some significant blistering here on the right rear tire off of Louis Allen's car.
Today's field consisted of 23 Fords, 14 Chevys, 4 Pontiacs, 28 were on the Goodyears, and 13 on Hoosier tires, including the pole sitter and the current leader on Hoosiers, Jeff Bodine. Riding with Jeremy Mayfield.
And the Finger Hut Ford, this is Cale Yarborough's car as he follows Ricky Rudd right underneath the start-finish line. He is in 20th position. Going down in turn 1, there's Morgan Schiffer on the inside, the Citgo Ford. Remember, he was involved in that first lap crash. He's back out. He's just trying to run all the laps he can.
The last lap, he just passed Dale Earnhardt, went up into 33rd, dropped Dale Earnhardt back to 34th.
More on the tire situation from John.
Well, I just talked to one of the Hoosier engineers and asked him, in fact, if it was a pressure problem. He said yes. On the last stop, they'd gone to all the Hoosier teams and told them to drop their air pressure. Well, Louis Allen's team did not. They were 5 pounds over the recommended amount, and the Hoosier engineer told me that is the reason that it blistered. That was the same problem they had back in June.
You wouldn't think that 5 pounds would have that much of a difference, but apparently it can. We will be back with more live coverage of the GM Goodwrench 400 from Michigan International in a moment. 100, there you see the top 15 from Jeff Bodine down to Greg Sachs. Greg Sachs, by the way, is in his 200th NASCAR Winston Cup event here this afternoon, currently in 15th spot.
Rich Bickle just made an unscheduled pit stop a moment ago, and John Turner reports that he had some blistering problems on his car. So
there's second place Rusty Wallace as he continues to trail Jeff Bodine.
Looks like he's gained a little bit on Bodine then.
Yeah, he's picked up a little bit here. I don't know if Bodine's coming back to him or if Rusty's picking up a little bit. They're still pulling away from Mark Martin just a little bit, who's running third, and Jeff Gordon there still not too far behind Mark Martin in fourth.
And right behind him is the number 4 car, Sterling Marlin, who is off the pace.
Bill Elliott was their 5th place car. There's a 6th place car, Michael Waltrip.
Good run for Michael Waltrip.
And the Bobby Labonte and Ward Burton. Great run for Ward Burton, the Hardee's Chevrolet. And Kyle Petty. Now, we got to talk about Kyle Petty. You're the guys in the top 10 and started back last. Man.
Bob, you mentioned Sterling Marlin, the Daytona 500 winner. He is 7 laps behind Joe Nemechek, just in and out of the pits after making an unscheduled pit stop. And then you mentioned Rich Bickle had been in. He's back in again. Bickle was running in the lead lap before he made his first unscheduled stop, and he's back in again right now.
Also, the 41 car, the 9 car, Joe Nemechek had been in the pits. He lost a lap earlier with an unscheduled stop. He just had another unscheduled stop.
Car is pitting. John Kernan, he's headed toward you.
Well, Gary Dehart and his crew are waiting for Terry Labonte to pull in. This will be a scheduled pit stop for them, not lap 90. It will be a 4-tire change. I should add that whenever Joe Nemechek was in, he also has Hoosier tires, guys. He didn't have any blisters. And Labonte, the right side's already on. No chassis. Oh, yes, there is the chassis adjustment. He had been complaining about a loose handling car, minor chassis adjustment on the left rear. The left side's now going on. He's already full of fuel. Terry Labonte is down and away.
About 20 and a half seconds for Terry Labonte as he rolls back out. And while we were watching that pit stop, Kyle Petty was able to pass Bobby Labonte and go into 8th position. Now, Rusty Wallace, we understand, should be in either this time or next time.
There we see. We'll see if he comes down off the banking. No, he's going to run another lap.
No, he isn't coming in. He just comes in a hurry.
He sure does. Got to observe the speed limit, though, as he brakes to get down under the speed limit, and Jerry Punch is there to call the pit stop.
And, Bob, they're reminding Rusty that it is 65 miles per hour. They don't want to get a penalty here with a car running in the top 5. Little genuine draft Forrest Thunderbird just take move. Little rookie will change all 4 tires. They don't plan any chassis adjustments. Rusty very, very satisfied with the way the car is handling. He will get 4 tires. Remember the miscue a moment ago in the previous stop? Well, that left rear tire comes off. Another left rear goes on. They have no problem with the lug nut. The car is down and away. 17.2 seconds. Great pit stop, and the 30 car is in, Michael Walton.
One would think that their relatively poor performance on the last pit stop, they had something to prove, and they did. Here is John Andretti also in the pits with
pretty major chassis adjustment on the right rear of the STP Pontiac of John Andretti. Now Michael Waltrip gets the Pennzoil Pontiac serviced, and he heads back out. Michael was running in the 6th position when he came in for that pit stop.
Yep. And John Andretti is still sitting there. Now he drives away. Meanwhile, Mark Martin running in 2nd spot now.
Yep, he's moved up to 2nd behind Jeff Bodine.
There's some telemetry. Let's see how fast Mark Martin will run down the straightaway. And then once he changes the tires, we'll see if he picks up some speed. He's accelerating down the front straightaway. 189. That's 90.
94, 6, 7, 8, 9.
200 just briefly. Nope, 203 or 4 it looked like.
Yeah. And just touching the brakes when he goes in the corner so the car doesn't push, so it doesn't slide that nose across the racetrack.
Bill Elliott in with the Junior Johnson Budweiser Ford.
Elliott relinquishes 4th position, Jerry.
And remember, Elliott had complained that he had a bit of a push in the car. The first set of tires, the car was loose. This set, he has a push, so they will make an adjustment on the car there. Right side tires going on. The Budweiser crew, led by Mike Bean. Bill Elliott, a 7-time winner here. And likewise, right behind Elliott, Kyle Petty. What a run he has had from the back of the field. They will change all 4 tires on the mellow yellow Pontiac. And also coming down pit road, we expect to see Jeff Bodine, our leader in the Exide Batteries Ford Thunderbird. And here is Bodine. Remember, he was complaining about a vibration. They thought it might be a wheel weight problem. They will change all 4 tires. Danny Glad cleans the windshield. Paul Edwards and the crew have already put the right side tires on. And a problem with the air gun hose is hung. They finally get it unhung. Come around to the left side, the left front tire going on. Bloodbuster fashion. And he is down and away. Jeff Bodine, 18.3 seconds. He is back toward turn 1.
Well, that was a good pit stop. If they had a little problem with an air gun there, 18.3. Not quite as quick as Rusty Wallace, but still a very good pit stop.
Yeah, they will see Jeff Bodine coming off in the middle of the corner. There's Mark Martin going by to put him a lap down. There is Rusty Wallace. So we can see that Rusty Wallace gained about half a straightaway on Jeff Bodine in that pit stop exchange.
Some of that was on the pits. Not all of that was on that second difference we saw in the pits. It was coming in and getting out. As we noted, Rusty Wallace really, we didn't even think he was going to make a pit stop, and he came off that turn 4. You pick up a lot of time there.
Mark Martin is the leader of the race. He has not pitted yet.
Remember when Ricky Rudd beat him here on fuel mileage? It looks like Jack Roush has worked on that problem. You see 200 miles an hour, 202. Taps the brakes. This is down between 1 and 2.
It's down to about 162, it looks like, before stepping on the accelerator again down the backstretch.
He's going in the pit. You see he waved to Jeff Bodine, the next car behind him, to tell him, I'm going to make a pit stop, so get ready for me.
Watch the deceleration on your right, and the brake, and the shift. Down to 2nd gear as he comes down pit road under the 65-mile-an-hour speed limit. Gary Punch, he's close.
And we'll watch Mark Martin. They are going to take a round and a half of fight out of the car. The car just a little bit too tight, has a push, and so they will go to the right side of the car and change tires. Now watch them put the ratchet in the window and take a round and a half of fight out. Ratchet going in the right side window. They drop the ball for Jack. Now up, 1 round, round and a half, and they take a round and a half out. Left side tires going on. The Mark Martin car, he is down and away. And Bobby Labonte is in. Let's check in with John Turner.
Bobby Labonte getting a chassis adjustment on the right side. They take a round to fight out. He's also asked that the crew clean the grill. A lot of buildup of rubber and just junk on the front grill. A 4-tire change from Bobby Labonte.
Jeff Gordon comes in. He will get all 4 tires in the Gordon car. Number 24, Ray Evernham and the crew now having changed right side tires. Coming around to the left side of the car. Last time we saw this car, it was going to victory lane in the Brickyard 400. Left side tires going on. They finished one done. 18.2 seconds down and away to the Park crew.
Great pit stop by Jeff Gordon. They call their pit crew the Rainbow Warriors. Where would you get the name Rainbow?
I don't know, but that's Booger, you know, the same car that he won Indianapolis with.
Yes.
So now it looks as if everybody has stopped for their routine maintenance. And we will reach the halfway point at this moment. 100 cars that have not pitted in this sequence because they pitted earlier, including in that group Rick Mast, Brett Bodine, Darrell Waltrip, Mike Wallace, and Jimmy Spencer.
Now, the 30 car has pitted. The 5 car has pitted. But you know what? I mean, if this thing goes green flag the rest of the way, Rusty Wallace is in trouble. Because he's going to have to stop twice. And right now, Rick Mast and a bunch of cars are only going to have to stop one more time. Michael Wallace in trouble because he'll have to stop twice.
Now here is Mike Wallace in the Heilig Myers Ford coming in right now. John, are you in that area?
Yes, I am. There'll be a 4-tire change. Once again, they'll try and tighten the car up just a little bit loose. For Mike Wallace, he will only need one more pit stop after this to go the rest of the way. Right sides are on, making sure the lug nuts are tight on that right rear. Then they'll make the chassis adjustment. Left side tires going on a slight problem. In 22 is the second stick off. They have a slight problem on the right rear. They finally get him down and away. 26.8 seconds. Brett Bodine is also in. It'll be also a 4-tire change for Brett Bodine. Brett Bodine, of course, with some contact. Rick Mast, the leader we're expecting on pit road momentarily. Right side's already on. Left side's going on as no chassis adjustment yet on Brett Bodine, but it looks like a pretty decent stop. And now Rick Mast slowing down to come on to make his interest on pit road. Second gear, about 4,800 RPM at 65 miles an hour. Remember, Mast crew a few pit stops ago had that problem with a broken air wrench. Now they're going to try and make up for it. They'll also try to tighten up the car a little bit with a chassis adjustment on the right rear. Right side tires going on. Rick using the Hoosier tires. They do not appear to have any blisters at all. They look just fine. Right's already on. Kevin Hamlin pulls the left front tire off. They will go with scuffed tires. The left's going on right now. Rick Mast waiting. He is down and away. He will need just one more pit stop to finish the race.
Just shy of 20 seconds, and now Darrell Waltrip picks up the lead of the race as this is the 28th event here at Michigan International that he has led. Jerry, what's the story down there?
Well, Bob Newton and the Hoosier engineers were very, very anxious to see the tires that came off the car number 7 of Jeff Bodine. They looked at them, and apparently Bodine, Paul Andrews, Danny Glad listened to the Hoosier engineers and lowered the air pressure, particularly in the right front. They lowered it about 5 pounds on the right side and about 3 pounds on the left side. The tires that came off the 7 car were perfect. There were no blisters. There was not that much wear significantly and not a lot of heat in the car. So apparently the Hoosier tires, at least on the car number 7, are running awfully well as Bodine has just made a pass.
Yeah, very well. He went to the inside of Rusty and passed him with no problem.
Right now, Jimmy Spencer, the McDonald's car, is leading the race. This is the race for second spot, and Jeff Bodine currently has it. There's our leader, Jimmy Spencer. John Andretti a lap down to Jimmy Spencer.
But Spencer is out of sequence on the pit stops.
As a matter of fact, the second and third place cars are coming up on him. There's Jeff Bodine and Rusty Wallace coming into the picture, so they could take the lead even before he makes his pit stop. So he's going to be lucky to stay in the lead lap once he makes his pit stop.
Well, you got to think he is in a lot of pain driving with that broken shoulder. He started 41st. He is the current leader, and in fact, he has led the last 3 laps, but he has to be in a great deal of pain with that broken shoulder that he suffered at Indianapolis. Here's John Andretti, though, moving to the inside of him.
Well, of course, he has fresher tires, and here comes Jeff Bodine going to try to move on the inside of John Andretti. Couldn't quite do it that time. Well, maybe he can. As they head on into turn 1, and that would put John Andretti a lap down.
He's in 21st, Ned.
He got his lap back from Spencer, and while he did that, he was put a lap down by Jeff Bodine. Michael Walker talked to me. He raced with a broken shoulder here at Michigan in June. He told me that with his arm on the steering wheel, resting on the steering wheel, it's not that painful. The biggest problem is shifting the car.
And that, of course, is why he could not, under any circumstances, compete at Watkins Glen last week. Exactly. The number of shifts you have to do per lap there. Now Spencer comes in. Loyalty Allen is right behind him. And Morgan Shepherd is right behind Loy. Jimmy Spencer is headed way up toward turn 4 in the first pit stall.
As Loy Allen comes down the pits, this is an unscheduled stop for Loy Allen because he stopped just a moment ago.
He was in about, what, 20 laps ago or so?
20, 25 laps ago. There's Morgan Shepherd minus the nose of his car as Jimmy Spencer leaves.
Morgan has moved up to 32nd position. He's picked up about 5 positions by going back out there, and that's 3 points every time he picks up a position. And Morgan was, what, 7th in the points coming into this race, so that's helped him a little bit.
As a matter of fact, Ned, one of the early graphics we ran showed Morgan Shepherd in 41st position. I don't know how that he would graduate with last place on that crash down.
As a result of starting behind all those other cars that were involved in the wreck.
And here's a battle for position as Mark Martin goes to 3rd around Jeff Gordon.
We can see that Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon lost a little position on the racetrack, distance on the racetrack to Rusty Wallace and Jeff Bodine in that sequence of pit stops.
And since we saw Jeff Bodine pass Rusty Wallace a little while ago, he's pulled away by about 20 or 25 car lengths. I'm going to put my stopwatch and see how far back Mark Martin is now, running in 3rd place behind Jeff Bodine. He's about 5.5 seconds. This battle right here, about 5.5 seconds behind the leader.
Shot while Joe's 2-mile tri-oval here in the Irish Hills of southern Michigan. This is the battle for 5th position between Elliott and Ward Burton.
And they have been this way for one entire lap. As they go down in turn 1, this is the spot that Ward Burton drove alongside Bill Elliott the last time. And he finally makes the pass a lap later.
Ward, of course, is another one of those Hoosier tire drivers.
Meanwhile, in exchange of pit stops and on the racetrack, Kyle Petty has moved up to 7th spot in the mellow yellow Pontiac.
17 cars are on the lead lap.
While we have the opportunity, hopefully we won't have any more cautions during the rest of the race, and we will not see Elmo Langley in the pace car, but we would like to wish Elmo a happy birthday. His 65th birthday. I thought you were supposed to retire at age 65.
Congressman Jones watching Elmo.
That's a good point. Budweiser report showing us some telemetry here.
Let's see if he turns up around 200 miles an hour. No. That was up the backstretch. Let's try it down the front straightaway and see if he runs any faster.
Tri-oval seems to be the fastest part of the racetrack.
Yes, it does. Oh, yeah, 201, 202, 3.
That's just about the same as Martin.
I tell you what, it's a good thing those things don't have speedometers in them, because Bill Elliott would quit if he saw 203 on the speedometer.
He's almost a half a lap behind Jeff Bodine, who's leading this race. He's about 19.5 seconds behind Jeff.
And now riding with Mark Martin in the 3rd place car.
Down the tri-oval. We'll see what did Bill do? 202, 203, somewhere in there?
Yep.
About 202?
Yep.
It looks like that Martin and Bill running about the same speed. You get down to 7,000 RPMs in the middle of the corner, and as he accelerates down the back straightaway, once again, this is not quite as fast down the back straightaway. We can see he still turns 83,
4, 5.
About RPM, just touching the brake. Once again, to make sure that the nose doesn't slide across the racetrack. Use the brakes to slow the car just a tick so they can turn it and get it going the other direction.
There's Mark Martin and the driver that is shadowing him right now, Jeff Gordon. Here is Darrell Waltrip, Ken Schrader, and Brett Bodine, and they're back in 13th, 14th, and 15th.
And looks like DW takes that spot away from Kenny Schrader.
Waltrip has won twice here at Michigan in this race.
They're coming up on Greg Sachs, who is being shown in the 12th position.
Bodine trying to take a look on the inside of Schrader, take that spot away. Coming off turn 2. see the 8 car, Jeff Burton, slow on the inside, so Brett Bodine had to back up and fall behind Kenny Schrader.
He's been black flagged, by the way. There were pieces that were not attached as securely as NASCAR wanted, and so Jeff Burton is coming into the pits. And there is Jeff Bodine.
And Ricky Rudd is not too far. We saw just a glimpse of the tied Ford in front of Jeff Bodine. That will be the next car to be lapped.
Yep, Ricky Rudd is running 16th at the moment. The last car on the lead lap.
Brett and Schrader having a good battle, but Schrader on the high side has the better line, but now Brett will battle back.
Brett just cannot get in the corner, doesn't feel comfortable driving in the corner on the inside of someone. He tries to come off the corner faster than Schrader, and maybe, come on, Brett, move up. Well, I'm not his spotter, so he didn't hear me.
Now he's got him cleared, or does he?
Well, if you'll just move up the hill. Come on, Brett, up the hill a little.
Do the old slide job that we see on Thursday Thunder.
At 200 miles an hour. Yeah, perfect, Bob.
Right. Jeff Bodine continues to lead. He's never won here at Michigan. Eastern time from New Hampshire International Speedway, the Slick 50 200. Join us tonight here on ESPN for IndyCar racing on the 1 Mile Oval in New Hampshire.
This is on top of Jeremy Mayfield starting. Looks like the hood's doing the heebie-jeebies or whatever you call that. Look at that thing waving down the...
That's a good word, Benny. Heebie-jeebies.
It's a very friendly hood. As it goes in the corner, it smooths out. As it accelerates down the straightaway, we'll see that starts going up and down again.
That's what it should look like. That's from Ted Musgrave's car. Well, Schrader and Bodine are still going at it, and Rick and Greg Sachs is right there too. But
yeah, they got around Greg. He was in front of him last time we watched this battle.
See, Schrader knows how to do that slide job that you're talking about.
Yep. Well, because he used to run sprints and midgets. And I'm sure Brett has done a few in his modified days also.
And Ricky Rudd in the tied Ford just won a lap down for our leader, Jeff Bodine.
Now, Benny, there are 15 cars on the lead lap, and Sachs that we just saw is the last car on the lead lap. Here's our Busch Beer race recap. Jeff Bodine led 91 of the first 122 laps. We've had 8 leaders and 10 lead changes. 3 caution periods has reduced the average speed of 132.106. Those drivers have picked up 5 bonus points for leading the event. Jeff Bodine has led the most laps so far. Darrell Waltrip has also led a lap. And out of the race, the list will be quite lengthy because of accidents. And they include Dale Earnhardt, who crashed with Todd Bodine up in turn number 3.
Dave Marcus with an engine problem.
There we see Greg Sachs, the 77 car of the U.S. Air Ford, just went a lap down. As a matter of fact, Ricky Rudd went by him to take that position away. And guys, I might add, as we watch this battle, Rusty Wallace is not running as well in that Miller Genuine Draft Ford as he did before. He's losing ground, a lot of ground to Jeff Bodine, and Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon are gaining on him. Jerry Punch, is that right as Rusty Wallace going down?
Well, Benny, you're exactly right. We must think like, just as you were saying, I was talking to Buddy Parrott here, and Buddy says, hey, Doc, we've got a really bad push. The car is just so tight, we can't get the car to turn. Well, apparently we have a smoke coming out of the 77 car. We got to report a minute ago that Greg Sachs had an overheating problem in the U.S. Air Force Thunderbird, so he will bring the DK Ulrich car down pit road, and we are told now as the car number 10, Ricky Rudd, goes a lap down to Jeff Bodine. And the car number 26, brother Brett Bodine. Looks like he will be going a lap down. But a tough race for the 77 crew as Greg Sachs has a problem with the U.S. Air Force.
Well, there you saw Brett going a lap down, and you see Mark Martin taking over second from Rusty.
Yeah, Jeff Bodine just kind of gradually pulled away from Rusty Wallace.
Rusty's running the same car that he won with here in June. We'll see how Mark Martin made that pass as he comes up on him.
Goes down in turn 1, and Mark's car has been working so well on the bottom of the racetrack. Watch as he almost turns directly left. Looks like running a line at the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
We are within about 5 laps of more pit stops. Rusty Wallace has fallen Goodwrench 400, and there is the battle for third position. Jeff Gordon has taken over third from Rusty.
Yeah, Rusty continues to just drop back a little bit. And Ward Burton has been in the pits, an unscheduled stop. He was running 8th before he came in. Jerry Punch, what's wrong?
And actually, Ned, he was only about 2 laps away from the scheduled pit stop, running in the top 10. But when he came down pit road, the engine was not running. And they changed all 4 tires. They have raised the hood, and now one of the crew members is yelling, I think we may have burned a piston. Wouldn't that be a tough race after a great run for the Hardy Chevrolet? A couple of cars now beginning to make an entry on the pit road. The 43 car of John Andretti, the STP Pontiac. On the left side of the Andretti car, Richard Petty's crew. And the car number 30, that's Michael Waltrip. You usually see the Andretti car now leaving after their pit stop. They have changed right side tires on the Pennzoil Pontiac. The Chuck Ryder Bahari Racing Team now changing left side tires, cleaning the windshield. And Michael Waltrip is down and away. The 98 car making an entry on the pit road. We are told that the hood is flapping on the car number 98. The Jeremy Mayfield car, so I have to pay some attention to that problem with the hood apparently loose. NASCAR has warned them, and it's a tough break for Ward Burton as they push the Hardy Chevrolet behind the wall.
Hey, boys, our in-car camera got poor old Jeremy in trouble.
I'm afraid you're right.
Because the NASCAR officials saw that hood flapping like that and said, uh-oh, we better make this boy make that hood a little bit more stationary.
By the way, Michael Waltrip was the first of those in the lead lap to come in. Of course, Ward Burton was, but he is behind the wall. But Michael Waltrip has made the first pit stop of those on the lead lap, and Bodine and Schrader are still at it, while Kyle Petty, another driver on the lead lap, comes in. He was 7th, Jerry.
And as you said, Bob, great run from Kyle Petty at the starting shotgun on the field by taking a provisional starting spot. He smokes the tires and he jams the brakes on, coming down at 65 miles per hour. Right side tires going on the mellow yellow Pontiac. They clean the windshield. Cruz camper to the left side, making sure they get it plenty full of fuel. A little bit of problem getting the jacket under the car. They finally get the car jacked up. Left front, left rear on, and Kyle jams it back in gear and smokes it, and leaving 17.8 seconds.
That was a good stop for Kyle. You know, although he's down in 16th position in the point standings, he isn't all that far away from the top 10. Here is Bill Elliott, and Jerry, can you see this stop?
Indeed we can, Bob, and we'll see if Mike Beam and the crew will go out. We would expect to see most of the crews here change 4 tires. They may make a slight spoiler adjustment on Bill Elliott's car. They said the car had been loose, then tight, now loose again. So they have problems with the jack on the right side. They finally get the car jacked up enough and get the right side tires off. Now, right side tires are on. They move around to the left side. That miscue there may have cost them a couple of seconds. The car is now full of fuel. They get the tires on, drop the jack, and 26.2 seconds as car number 5 makes victory on the pit road. And John Curtin is standing by for Terry Labonte's pit stop. John?
Terry Labonte slows it down. Some interesting bit of strategy from crew chief Gary DeHart. Fuel and 2-out tires only. Right side tires only for Terry Labonte. Of course, with 60 laps to go in this 200-lap event, you got to figure they can't make it without. They have to have at least one more stop. But Terry Labonte, 2 tires, is down and away.
He did not get that car full of gasoline. He knows that he has to stop again. They're taking a chance that maybe they can get a caution flag. In the meantime, if they stop 6 or 7 seconds short of the leaders, maybe they'll get a caution flag when they get back out.
That's maybe some pretty good strategy here. Rusty Wallace is on the racetrack. Remember, he ran out of fuel here in the June race and did make it back to the pit area. I think he's okay right now, but he is headed toward pit road. Jerry?
And they were trying to stretch the fuel mileage on the car number 2 of Rusty Wallace. By calculation, they were going to come in around lap 134 to 138. And now Rusty brings the car down pit road, coasting into the pit, and the car is not running. The car is not under power. They will change the right side tires. Listen, you hear nothing but air racing. The car is falling off the jack on the right side. Now they'll have to pick the car up. And now they get the jack finally back under it, and the car has refired.
something wrong with that car. There's something bad wrong with Rusty Wallace Miller Jr. Grant Pontiac. And meanwhile, they're going to push it. There he finally gets the car going.
Remember here in June, the pit crew had to push it, and Buddy Parrott was left on pit road, straddled. Here is Jerry once again.
And Jeff Bodine has made his pit stop, and he will have to pit at least one more time. Bodine will have to pit probably with about 10 laps to go. He will not be able to make it all the way. The big question mark down here is, could Mark Martin make it? And if he pits right now, he comes down pit road, he probably will not be able to make it the distance. The one car that probably can go will be Jeff Gordon. Here is the Valvoline Ford driver, a winter a week ago, in dominating fashion at Watkins Glen, New York. Right side tires going on the Jack Roush-owned Ford Thunderbird. Once again, they will take some bite out of the right rear. Come around to the left side of the car. There's the ratchet going to the right rear. One round now going down to the right rear. Left side tires on. They drop the jack. 21.6 seconds, 4 tires for Mark Martin as he heads back to turn 1. And now we are watching and waiting for Jeff Gordon. The plan for Gordon to go to lap 150 and make this his final planned pit stop of the afternoon.
Well, let's show you once again what happened to Rusty Wallace when he was on pit road, and the car comes off the jack.
Well, the car is not running when it comes in. The jack goes up. The car was not on there. The car rolled forward. I guess Rusty was trying to start the car. He probably hit the starter with the car in gear, and it rolled off the jack.
Well, that was a rare, costly mistake for this crew. He is still in the lead lap with Jeff Bodine. Jeff Bodine is in the lead lap after that pit stop with Jeff Gordon. He came out in front, and he had a big enough lead that he could make his pit stop and still come back out in the lead. Now, Mark Martin did go a lap down. Jeff Gordon went by him as Mark was coming out of the pits. Here's Ted Musgrave coming into the pits. Ted was being shown in the ninth position.
Family Channel Ford getting service on the right side. Coming around to the left, so Jeff Gordon stays out there. How far can he stretch his fuel mileage, and can he stretch it long enough to make this his final stop?
We see got ether in that car trying to get it to start. Robin Pemberton, the crew chief, spraying the ether in the carburetor, trying to get that baby to start.
They have not done so yet. Ted is trying desperately to get the car going and throw it in gear, but so far it just will not go. They continue to spray ether into it.
There's Robin Pemberton, just like Buddy Parrott here in June, just like you were talking about.
Yep. They'll push that car a long way now, and it still won't fire.
I saw a sign, just in case you're listening, Ernie. They said, "Get well, Ernie." There it is from the in-car camera. And they've got to stop sooner or later as Ricky Rudd comes down pit road.
He was running in 5th position and comes in for a stop.
He had gotten back in the lead lap after Jeff Bodine made a pit stop, but now he'll more than likely go a lap down, and Ted Musgrave's car still is not fired. I'm not sure that we said that Sterling Marlin had gone to the garage a good while ago, and now Jeff Purvis has taken the Kendall Oil car to the garage as well.
Well, they're almost to the halfway point of pit road, and they still have not got the Family Channel Ford started. Jeff Gordon has entered pit road, Jerry. He's headed toward you.
And they were going to try to make it to lap 150, Bob, but the calculations, Ray Evernham just didn't feel comfortable. He said, we're trying to make it, trying to push their luck. So they're going to come in about 2 laps earlier than expected. They may going to roll the dice. They may wait until late in the day, and maybe this will be their final pit stop. And they're going to make a wedge adjustment in the car. The car is a little bit loose. It will change all 4 tires, clean the windshield full of fuel, and there on the right rear, they're going to take a round away out of the car. So try to tighten the car up a little bit. Left side tire is on, and he is down and away.
17.2 second. Good pit stop for Jeff Gordon. Back up pit road. The Family Channel Ford had a little bit of a fire because of the amount of ether they were squirting in there, and so they are taking it behind the wall.
And this is probably the reason that Ray Evernham didn't gamble anymore. He didn't want to get in that same position of having to push their car up and down pit road trying to get it fired, running out of fuel.
We can see the hood is up on that Family Channel car, and Jeff Gordon's pit stop will put him in 2nd spot.
And And we'll be back with more of our Let's Come In for a pit stop. And now everybody has been on pit road, and so Jeff Bodine goes back to the front.
Yeah, excepting Darrell Waltrip hasn't stopped yet. Darrell's being shown up in second place, but Jeff Bodine is ahead of him even after having made his pit stop.
There's Bill Elliott about to go a lap down to Jeff Bodine.
He is 12th, and indeed, Jeff does put him a lap down.
That long pit stop he had, which cost him an extra 8 or 9 seconds, has cost him a lap on the racetrack.
Michael Waltrip is a lap down, so is Ricky Rudd.
Now here's Jeff Bodine, Brett Bodine is in the pits right now. He might be able to go the rest of the way. He was being shown in 5th before he came into the pits. And with 48 laps to go, he might be able to make it the rest of the way.
And they just changed right side tires, didn't they?
No, I think they put left on it also. Did they? I think so. I might be wrong. Anyway, we'll check his progress.
Yeah, don't go away, because this thing could be very interesting in terms of fuel mileage. The 31 car is going behind the wall as the 17 of Waltrip is in, and service completed on that Western Auto Chevrolet, and he's underway again.
And I'm told by our spotters that Brett Bodine did, in fact, put 4 tires on that automobile. I thought he might be gambling. The 2 tires were not the case. Now, Darrell Waltrip can make it the rest of the way, but he's so far down, I'm not sure he can still win the race if he does, because Jeff Bodine, Mark Martin, those cars will only go in for a splash of fuel.
Well, it appears as if Ted Musgrave, after they got the family Channel 4, you saw the black flag right there waving. After they got the car started, apparently in his frustrations, he was too fast out pits, and so they've called him in for a stop and go. Jerry Punch, what else do you know about that?
Well, Bob, you hit the nail on the head. You talk about frustration. When they pushed the Musgrave car out from behind the wall, he put it back in gear and lifted the tires up coming down pit road. It looked like a top fuel dragster coming by us, and all the NASCAR officials sort of dove out of the way. So obviously he was going far and exceed on the 65 miles per hour speed limit. So they have brought the black flag out for a stop and go penalty.
He fell 8 laps down to 25th position. Ted Musgrave did. Here he is in the pits once again.
Heeding the caution flag from NASCAR. The official walks up, says, stop a minute. Hang on there, buddy. Hang on. To do something, well, he's telling him to do something to the hood of the car. There's something wrong. I don't know.
There was a fire under there a while ago. That's why he went behind the wall when they couldn't get it started.
Eventually, raise the hood.
Oh, I tell you, when it rains, it pours. Seems like tough break. Okay, after all that round of pit stops, while they work on Ted Musgrave's car, we got 8 cars now in the lead lap. There's Jeff Bodine, Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin, Rick Mast, and Rusty Wallace, Kyle Petty, the Terry Labonte car, and the Bobby Labonte car.
And there's how points would be awarded if the race were to end now.
So we see that, was it 28.94, 31.06? 212 points behind the 3rd place car.
Oh, yeah, I knew that. Musgrave is still in. Last time he was in, I'll show you a replay of what happened. And there is the fire.
Yeah, it's pretty good fire, as a matter of fact.
John Kernan?
Bob, they've just replaced the fuel filter on the family Channel 4. Apparently, when it caught fire, it damaged the fuel filter. So that's why Ted Musgrave has been sitting on pit road with the hood up.
Well, he's finally underway again, so he rejoins the race. 158 race, which was rain delayed and finally held late yesterday afternoon, tomorrow at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. 3 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow for the Detroit Gasket 200. Here's a Fram Field summary for you with where your favorite driver was running last time around, and you can see that there are 8 cars on the lead lap.
Jimmy Spencer in for a pit stop in McDonald Ford, and of those 8 cars, as we watch the rest of this rundown, we see Jeff Bodine coming up on the Labonte brothers, who are running 7th and 8th. Bobby has passed Terry and has moved up into 7th position, but they're about to go a lap down.
We saw Terry Labonte on his pit stop change 2 tires and put some fuel in the car trying to stay in the lead lap. And caution better fell in a hurry, or that strategy's not going to work.
Yeah, I think those 2 tires are hurting him right now. Then he needs the benefit of those newer tires on the left side as well. See his car slipping up a little bit as he comes off the turn. Well, you're right. He needs the caution right now, or it's not going to work.
Jeff Gordon might have a problem.
Yes, he's moved over. There goes Mark Martin for that second spot and takes it.
Jerry, what's the problem with Jeff?
Apparently, it's an engine problem in the car number 24. Ray Evernham just told me that apparently the engine is tightening up and going away, getting weaker and weaker. Jeff just ready a couple of minutes ago. Not a whole lot they can do. Charlie Seeger is standing here in the engine crew, but Ray Evernham says it's pretty helpful up there. As they went ahead and told the 6th car, Mark Martin was running behind him in case the engine didn't let go. Mark would be able to take evasive action. They told Martin about a lap and a half ago, but Gordon had just gotten worse and worse. Apparently, they have lost a cylinder, at least one cylinder, and they may bring him down here if they get a chance or get a caution flag and look for plug wire.
So a strong run by Jeff Gordon goes by the wayside as he has fallen back to 3rd position and will probably lose more than that.
Now we see Jeff Gordon with his problems.
He has a pretty good lead on Rick Mast, who is currently being shown in the 4th position. Rusty Wallace is 5th after his long pit stop.
And there we see our leader, Jeff Bodine. He's still following Terry Labonte. Now, he outruns Labonte through the corners, but he's having trouble keeping up down the straightaway. Could Jeff Bodine have a problem? We can see just how much faster he is down the straightaway in the corner, but once they get on the straightaway, he has trouble keeping up with that 5 car.
And he's trying to put Terry a lap down here, and the other Labonte, Bobby, is just ahead of Terry. Now, Jeff Bodine goes to the inside.
Pretty good run off that turn, but not enough, I don't believe. Yes, Terry gets pretty close to the wall out there. Terry Labonte is running in 8th position.
See how much he
stayed right in that high line. He kicks that momentum up and is able to just shoot down that straightaway.
Jeff Bodine once again gets a good run off the corner. He may have it. May have it this time. John Kern, what can you tell us?
Well, for about the second half of the race, Benny Parsons, Terry Labonte has complained about a skip in the engine. They think it's a problem with the carburetor. Same problem that they had at Indianapolis in the Brickyard 400, where there was a leak getting gas not into the intake manifold, but actually out onto the engine. He wasn't getting enough power and it created a skip. It didn't hurt him that badly. They finished in the top 15. Right here, the car seems to be running all right, but in the corners, he just has a little bit of a skip in the engine, a little bit of a miss.
No one thing, he may have a skip in the middle of the corner, but he certainly was having a lot of success at staying in front of that 7 car down the straightaway.
Yeah, he was doing well on the straightaway.
Now there's 7 cars on the lead lap, and the interval between 1st and 5th is 35.3 seconds, as Jeff has an almost 11.5-second lead on Martin, and then a 32-second lead on Rick Mast. And Jerry Punch is with Paul Andrews.
Well, Paul is now talking to Jeff Bodine as he comes by his driver. We mentioned that Bodine looked like he might have been slowing a little bit coming out of the corner, not coming back up to full speed on the straightaway. Paul, looked like your car wasn't coming back up to full speed a lap or so ago. Is there a problem?
No, everything's pretty good. You know, we're coming up against a lot of cars that are getting ready to get a lap down. It's getting a little tougher to get around some of them, but everything's all right.
Apparently the comment was, did Jeff comment that maybe it was football season and he was getting blocked a little bit out there?
Well, possibly, but you know, those guys are trying to stay on the lead lap, so I can understand that.
Well, it is the fall of the year, and Bodine has commented that he's being blocked a little bit coming off the corner.
Well, he's in clear traffic now. Here's Bobby Labonte just ahead of him, and I assume that Terry was blocking for Bobby. Is that the idea?
Well, I mean, he has caught Bobby Labonte with ease, so evidently the car is running okay.
Terry was blocking for himself, trying to stay in the lead lap.
Yeah. Right.
And once again, we can see just how much faster through the corner that Jeff Bodine is, but these cars get in front of him, and he can't run through the corner wide open. Then he does have trouble catching them down the straightaway.
Labonte is just ahead of Bodine. Oh, something has apparently come off of one of the cars and gone into the crowd. Is that what we're hearing?
Oh, we see a lot of people.
There's a lot of commotion down there at the end of pit road.
Yeah, that's on the inside of the racetracks.
Yeah.
The seats that view the pits on the front straightaway here.
Yellow
flag is out. That'll be a break for Bobby Labonte if he can beat Jeff Bodine back to the line.
It looks like that Jeremy Mayfield's hood has come off. Remember, it was flapping earlier, and Benny talked about it, and now it has come off.
As we watch that, let me tell you that Bobby Labonte looks like he is going to beat Jeff Bodine back to the line. Here he comes, Labonte, the blue car, and also Kyle Petty. Jeff Bodine, the blue and black car. There's our leader. Takes the caution flag.
Yeah, Kyle Petty was not far from going the lap down, so this was a welcome sign as far as he's concerned. And all of that strategy about who can make and who can't,
right,
don't matter now.
Now it's as to who has the fastest car.
Tough break with Darrell Waltrip because he could make it the rest of the way. Yep. He's a lap down.
Jeff has led 130 of the first 170 laps. He will pick up the 5 bonus points for leading the most. Now watch the hood fly off of this car.
Oh my goodness.
There it goes.
Where does it go?
Up in the air like a kite.
Oh yeah, it's sailing across the infield, the grassy section of the infield in front of the pit area, and here it is.
Right over the pit crew's head.
Can't tell exactly where it went. Apparently it did go into the crowd, though. Let's hope that nobody was hurt by that.
Or did it go into that fence?
Yeah.
Okay.
Somewhere in that crowd. Well, all those people realize the camera's pointed that way. They're all waving, so.
Well, I hope that means that everybody's okay down there.
So do I. Here comes Jeff Bodine, Mark Martin down pit road to make their pit stop.
Those on the lead lap able to come in now. Jeff Gordon comes in. So does Rick Mast, Rusty Wallace, Kyle Petty, and Bobby Labonte. Here's Jerry.
The original plan was a gas and go for both the 7 and 6 cars that we had staying green. Now, under caution, we would expect to see a tire change. 7 car and the 6 car both on pit road, hitting nose and tail, right side tires going on both those cars. Crew now taking left side lug nuts. Already the left side lugs and tires going on Jeff Bodine's Ford Thunderbird. Bodine is down and away. Wallace left side. His tires are on. Here is the car number 6 of Martin is down and away. And Rusty Wallace is firmly down and away. He will be followed down pit road by Rick Mast.
So Rusty has the slowest pit stop of those 3, and as they come down pit road, I think Kyle beat him out.
Kyle Petty came out in 3rd place. He came in 7th place or 6th place, so he had a tremendous pit stop.
We are under caution here at Michigan, and the last pit stops have apparently helicopter did a great job of catching the hood flying off of Jeremy Mayfield's car and going into a spectator area. However, we have no indication right now as to whether or not it hit anybody or not, but here it is blowing off the car in the tri-oval.
There we saw it come off the car. Now watch as it flies through the air. That's it. There it is.
Getting good lift.
Yeah. That is a hood off these race cars as it comes down.
And it goes into the crowd. We couldn't see exactly where it went, but it did not appear from what we can see that anyone was hurt. Let us hope not. All right, Jerry Punch has more on Jeff Gordon's situation.
Bob, we commented the engine was souring on the DuPont Chevrolet. They came down pit road hoping it would be something that could simply fix, maybe a plug wire off or something in the ignition, but that was not the case. Charlie Seeger says that he thinks it could be a broken rocker arm or maybe a push rod possibly. They have told Jeff Gordon simply take it easy, ride it out, and just try to finish. Back upstairs.
All right, now let's show you the pit stop summary where they were when they came into the pits and how they rank now as we get set to resume our competition. We're a couple of laps away from that, however. Jeff Bodine will be the leader. 400 from Michigan International. We're under caution because the hood flew off of Jeremy Mayfield's car and went into a spectator area. Word right now is that there are no injuries. We will continue to monitor that. Now watch from the in-car camera and listen to this.
Listen to the accelerator. We're in turn 3. Jeremy will start accelerating off turn 4 down through the front straightaway. Just listen to the accelerator. Didn't back up much, did he?
Just momentarily, and there she goes, that hood.
Okay, the word is that nobody was hurt. Thank goodness. Green flag back out on lap 177. 176 complete. 3 abreast down into turn number 1 again as Jeff Bodine, the leader, gets a good jump. However, not too far behind him is Mark Martin. And Kyle Petty is third.
He had a great pit stop. Just barely beat Rusty Wallace out of the pit.
Riding with Mark Martin as he sees the leader ahead of him.
There he is, Mark, right on the bumper.
Trying to make it 2 wins in a row. Duplicate his feat of last year, winning 4 in a row. And boy, Kyle Petty has just been outstanding today after a miserable qualifying effort that forced him to take a provisional to get in, but he is third and in the hunt for the win. Started 39th. Now Waltrip there behind Kyle is a lap down in 10th spot.
Actually, he's an 8th spot. He's moved up to now 2 8th spots there, probably. 4 in there says he's 10th lap until it goes, but he's in 8th place now. There's 7 cars in the lead lap.
Look at this mess back here. There's for position. The blue car on the inside, Bobby Labonte. That's Rick Mass. And Labonte takes that spot away.
Labonte's got a strong car all afternoon.
So that should have moved Bobby Labonte into 5th place, dropping Mass back to 6th. Jeff Gordon is 7th.
Very good. Very, very well. Last time here at the Michigan International Speedway, he's made a good run.
He's 14th right now, a lap down. He got a lap down early in the race.
He won this race in '92. That was his last NASCAR Winston Cup win. See Labonte going down in the corner, battling alongside Ken Schrader, Terry Labonte.
Now, Terry Labonte and Ken Schrader all racing for position.
And I guess the 30 car, Michael Waltrip's also in that race.
Somebody's off the pace back there. Is that Harry?
Yes, it is.
Car.
And I talked about Harry, and guess what?
Sure did. You jinxed him.
I jinxed him. There's Rick Mass.
Yeah, right on the back bumper of Labonte, and May fan out 3 wide here.
Now they got around Schrader, so those 2 Chevrolets are going to team up there and make it tough on Rick Mass to move on by. Michael Waltrip right in that battle as well. He is a lap down, so he is racing for position with Ken Schrader. He tries to take that position away, and I believe he gets it. And back there's Ricky Rudd, Brett Bodine. All those cars are racing for position. There are 9 cars that are 1 lap down. There are 7 in the lead lap, and actually 10 cars that are 1 lap down.
One car is trying to catch up with Bobby Labonte. That's the next car, the blue car. 2 cars in front of him. Bill Elliott between, but Elliott is a lap down to the 22 and the 1. And I think Elliott understands that. Probably will let Rick Mass go when he gets there.
Especially since he's driving the Ford.
As we told you, Harry Gant is slow on the racetrack.
Harry, I'm sorry, I won't talk about you anymore. Man.
The word is he's lost a cylinder.
He's lost more than that because it's not running at all.
Here's some good action from Ted Musgrave's in-car camera. Now that sponsorship there on the number 12 car, Straight Arrow Products, that is for through 1996. So at last, the Bobby Allison team has a full-time sponsorship. We're certainly glad to see that.
And that's good. And Derek Cope has agreed to drive the car for the balance of the 1994 season.
And we see the mane and tail on the
Rusty Wallace, Kyle Petty, then Rusty Wallace, Bobby Labonte, Rick Mast, and Jeff Gordon. Those 7 cars on the lead lap. We're going to take another break so we can... Rusty has gone to second. Back of him, though, a great battle with Bobby Labonte, Kyle Petty, Rick Mast, and then some cars that aren't on the lead lap.
And all those cars are racing for position. Darrell Walker, Bill Elliott, Terry Labonte. Now they've got Mast hung up back behind them. And
Walter way up high.
DW, you can make that corner the next time by, because you missed it that time.
Rick Mast had worked hard and had caught that group. He got caught up in traffic once before. He ran him down, caught him, got up to 4th place. All of a sudden, then he gets caught down on the inside there and out of the draft and dropped back to 6th once again.
17 and the 30 cars are on the same lap, not on
and
the
there's a spin
lap.
up in turn 4. There's Loy Allen in car number 19.
And the caution flag is waving.
And the caution comes out on lap 187 at the end of 187 on lap 188.
Looks like a 1-car spin. I didn't see another car involved up there.
Doesn't look like he's made heavy contact with the wall, so he may be able to get back slick down there because of the green that we've had.
Looks like he is trying to get stuck.
I'm not sure whether or not those running up front got the caution or not. There seems to be a race back to the flag at this point. There, Bodine takes it, so he has now.
All right, we've got 7 cars in the lead lap. Ned, what do you think? They going to stop?
Some of them will. Some of those back towards the back from, 4th, 5th, and 6th, they don't have that much to lose. Now, how about Jeff Bodine and Mark Martin?
Now, under the NASCAR rules, the new NASCAR rules, the 1994 rules, the cars in the lead lap will start nose to tail in front of the cars a lap down. So the worst you can start is 7th.
All right, Jerry, what is Paul Andrews' strategy?
Well, I think it's pretty simple, but I'll let him tell you. Now, Paul, you made a decision. What's your decision and why?
Well, we're going to stay out there. Right now we're still running 40-40s and 40-30s, and it'd be a big gamble, I think, to come in right now.
If you're the fastest car on the racetrack, why pit?
That's right.
Kind of big smile. They feel like they can just hang on and no one else comes in. 12 more laps, and they'll be in victory lane. Bob?
All right, we'll see why we are under caution here. There is Loy Allen on the bottom of Steve Grissom.
I think the back end of his car got loose as he got under Grissom. There came off the spoiler a little bit there, and it sent the back end of the Hooters Ford around. And let's see if he really hits the wall. He gets up awfully close to it.
I think he kept it off.
Yeah, I think he did too.
I don't think he made any contact at all. Paul Andrews said that Jeff Bodine was running 40-30, 40-40 in second. You ever see some cars coming down pit road? Kyle Petty is one of those cars. Rick Mast is coming in. And we have signal 1 lap to go, so these guys will have to hustle to get caught back up.
Yep.
Ever see Rick Mast stop, start changing his tire?
John Kernan is right there.
Well, because of the 1 to go, they wanted to change 4 tires, but they're going to change only 2 tires. No fuel. They don't need any fuel. Right side tires on. No chassis adjustment. Rick Mast down and away.
As we look down toward turn number 1, Kyle Petty still sitting there. They're going to change all 4 tires for Kyle. Jerry, isn't that what they're doing?
Exactly, Bob. They've already put right side tires on. Left side tires are going on, and he will smoke the tires down pit road and try to run along with Rick Mast and Ken Schrader, lake speed, as the others go back to turn 1. But we'll have green next time by.
Will the 4 new tires on Kyle Petty's car be the difference, BP?
Well, I think it's going to help. I just don't. I thought these cars, well, the scoreboard is showing 11 laps to go. I thought it was going to be 10 laps to go, and I felt like that these cars on the left side would go behind the lead cars. But
that's only when there are 10 laps to go.
Yeah, and there will be 10 when they come around right now and take the green flag.
And we can see that Jeff Gordon on 7 cylinders. He is in the lead lap, but there's no point in him getting in the way of Kyle Petty and Rick Mast. He does move over and let them go by.
Yeah, apparently he just waved them on by. Ooh, Kyle Petty and Brett Bodine scraping off their tires, about to get together.
Okay, there is Bodine, Mark Martin, Rusty Wallace, Bobby Labonte.
Let's see if Kyle Petty's strategy pays off here. Let's see if anybody's strategy pays off. The green flag waves on lap 191 at the completion of lap 190. And now we're going to get down to the settlement of the GM Goodwrench 400. Looks like Jeff Bodine gets another good start.
And Mark Martin gets clear of the traffic. Rusty trying to get clear of the traffic there as well. Bill Elliott down on the inside. He is in the 8th position. First car that is 1 lap down.
Here comes Kyle.
Well, he's just trying to find him a place to go there. He found one. Pretty deep. Back off, DW.
But look at Rick Mast drive in on the outside of those cars.
He made a great move up there on the outside and just left Kyle sitting back there.
And Rick Mast has called Labonte. Bobby Labonte is holding Rick Mast up right now.
Yep. Now, folks, these cars, when they qualify on brand new tires. They do that because they'll run about a third to a half a second a lap faster. But after they run them a lap or two, they aren't quite that much faster. So he needs to get what he can get as early as he can.
Again, Kyle is way down on the low side of the racetrack trying to find his way around. He's beside Labonte now.
Kyle is just hung in that traffic and just can't do anything about it because they're racing for position as well.
Right.
They are a lap down, but they are racing for position. Bill Elliott, Darrell Walker, Terry Labonte, Michael Walker,
Ricky Rudd.
And Ricky Rudd. Meanwhile, Jeff Bodine still leading the race, 8 laps to go. This is from the rear bumper cam on Bill Elliott's Budweiser Ford.
There you see Kyle once again making a move. Below Darrell Walker. Got him this time. Rusty Wallace.
He's off the pace a little.
He is off the pace. There goes Bobby Labonte, and Rick Mast will try to come along. What's the problem?
Well, maybe he did like Bill Elliott there earlier. I don't know. No, I believe he has a bigger problem than that. Thought maybe he might have just got loose coming off the turn 2 and had to back off. But now both of those cars go by.
Now Rick Mast is able to pass Rusty Wallace. And the battle for position between Mast and Labonte really heats up. And here comes Rusty back a little bit.
I think Rusty had the same problem as you said Bill Elliott had earlier. He was pushed and got loose off that second corner, had to get out of the gas, and these guys drove away from him.
It isn't nearly as exciting up front as it is back here. Jeff Bodine continues to lead with Mark Martin running in second position, and the battle for third now is Mast is alongside Labonte.
Rusty Wallace, here Kyle Petty has finally caught this group of cars.
He got out of that traffic and has run them down. This is going to be a race to the end right here.
It sure is.
Like I say, you can see where the first and second place cars are. No battle up there.
6 laps to go.
And Rusty, which one of these guys do I need to follow? He's trying to figure it out,
And whether it's Ford or General Motors goes out the window now. You try to do what's best for you.
No one is your particular friend at the moment. It's every man for himself.
It looks to me like the Rick Mast is taking that spot away. He is the third spot, fairly comfortable right now. But behind him, very comfortable. Not very comfortable. Rusty on the inside. This would be the second, equal the best run that Pontiac has had this year. Michael Walker finished third. Talladega, back in the Winston 500. Labonte could stay there, but he's in a little bit of trouble right now.
And Bobby is trying to salvage his best finish of the season. His best has been a 6th. That was at Bristol. Right now he's back to 5th. And Kyle Petty is looking to take that position away from him.
Meanwhile, as we watch this, Jeff Bodine has kind of pulled out to about a 15-20 car length advantage on Mark Martin. You see the advantage on Mark.
And Rick Mast might be gaining a little bit on Mark Martin.
Rick Mast stopped, changed 4 tires, went back to 6th place, and is now up to 3rd.
Now Rick only changed 2 tires, Kelly. That's right. John Turner pointed out. He didn't. If they would have had more than 1 lap to go before the green, he would have changed 4, but only changed the 2. But that seems to be helping him.
There's 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th.
Jeff Gordon is the 7th place car right now, but he's on 7 cylinders, so he's kind of puttering around out there trying to salvage what he can.
He's still in the lead lap. About a half a lap behind the lead.
197 laps are about to be completed by Jeff Bodine, who is looking for his 2nd win of 1994 and his 1st win ever at Michigan International Speedway. And Rick Mast crew members are praying that Rick can
Finished second.
Well, they'd like for him to win the race, but...
That's kind of a question right now.
Well, something will have to happen to that car right there.
Yeah.
Jeff Bodine is well on his way, but who knows?
Rick Mast is also on Hoosier, so we have a Hoosier, a Goodyear, a Hoosier, a Goodyear, and a Goodyear in the top 5.
Okay, guys, 2 laps to go.
Mast is closing in on Mark Martin, while Jeff Bodine continues to have command of this event.
Watch the rear view mirror. It's loose. And we see Jeff Gordon is finally off the pace down on the inside going in turn 3. Mark Martin just went by him. But we can see his rear view mirror. He has no idea where Rick Mast is.
The white flag is out. Doyle Ford shakes the white flag, and Jeff Bodine is on the last lap, and within 2 miles of victory. We'll watch this battle for second position as Rick Mast is right behind, now up on top of Mark Martin off of corner number 2 and down the backstretch. Mark holds on to the position. Jeff Bodine well in command. It will be no contest for the win. We will watch second position for you. Now they're in the north banking. Here is Jeff Bodine coming out of corner number 4 and is going to win the GM Goodwrench 400. Jeff Bodine wins it to the line. Let's see who gets second. It is Mark Martin beating Rick Mast, and then Rusty Wallace and Bobby Labonte and Kyle Petty are your top 6 finishers.
Second win of the year.
Jeff Bodine crew celebrates their second win of 94, the 16th career win for Jeff Bodine, and his 9th on a super speedway. And the Unocal bonus money has been won again of $7,600 like it was last week. And there you see that the pole winner has recorded his 12th win here in 51 races. Here's Jerry.
And a man who had a major part of today's effort, Danny, glad you built the motors, so congratulations.
Thanks, Jerry. It was a little bit of up and down day. We started off, we had a little skip in the motor. We switched ignition boxes. We run fine. He said everything was all right. And then late in the race, I started to skip again. We switched the distributor, and then it went away, and we went on fine. I just want to say hi to my dad. He's in the hospital. Hey, Dad, wish he was here.
Danny Glad, who builds a very, very strong power plant that did the job here today.
Hi, Pocono, but hi, Kathy. I love you. I really do. Matt and Barry, you too. And I want to say hi to all the wives of this race team. On the pace lab, they all said, say hi to this guy, say hi to this wife. Hi, wife. Thanks for letting these guys work on this car. This is a great team. Bob Newton, get in here again. We had a great car. The Exide Ford just ran flawless all day. Bob did it again with the tires. Obviously, we had the better tire. Thanks, Bob. What a
You had
team.
the better driver. That's what we had the better driver.
Problems early in the race, a little concerned about a skip in the engine?
Well, right at the start, one side of the distributor didn't work right. It was skipping. We switched the switch. That worked. Then later on, it started missing again. Flicked some more switches and ran just perfect after that.
Jeff Bodine gets win number 2 in 1994 in dominating fashion here at Michigan International Speedway.
Congratulations to Jeff and all the team. And as we take a look now at the full field rundown from the GM Goodwrench 400 here at Michigan International Speedway, we will bring to an end a very emotional weekend here at this facility. And of course, we again say that Ernie Irvan remains in critical condition, but we will be thinking of him and praying for him this coming week. Sports Center, of course, will have updates for you throughout the week as to his condition. John Andretti, there you saw, finished in, what, 17th position after starting on the outside of the front row?
And when we get back to it, you'll see that Dale Earnhardt, our points leader today, finished in 37th spot.
And it's going to have a definite impact on the point standings. There is Dale finishing in 37th position. And Dick Trickle finishes last after being involved in the crash over in turn number 2. The point standings, Mark Martin moves up a position. Rusty Wallace falls back to 4th position as that great battle among those 3 drivers continues, and Ken Schrader holds to the 5th position. There are the rest of the drivers in the top 10 in the quest for the Cup standings and NASCAR Winston Cup competition. Don't forget,